Hello, everybody. This is Lauren with Reinventing the Tattoo. And today we have a great broadcast coming up with Fawn and Jordan. The Tattoo Collecting Podcast. This is our 27th episode today. And we'll go ahead and send it over to you guys. Here we are.
Hello and welcome to the Tattoo Collecting Podcast.
Welcome.
Yep. Who are we here with today?
So today we have Mindy Robertson with us. She's got a super rad collection. She has, Mindy, would you like to introduce yourself and talk about some of your work? We'll just jump right in today.
So I have pretty much full sleeves by Michelle Wortman. She's done my tattoos for, oh my gosh, at least I've been getting tattooed from her for about 20 years, about 19 years, which is really makes me feel old. But yeah, just have kind of like her whole matching body set look. I was kind of one of the first girls to get that and kind of start the movement, and I'm super happy about that because met a lot of cool friends who also have Michelle's work and just got inspired by my stuff, and obviously Michelle's great artwork. So
super cool. It's part of the Bloom project, right?
Yes.
How many women do you think are part of that project now?
Gosh, I don't even know. I would say maybe 30, or I'm not even really sure. I know there's more, but sometimes, they're all over the place, so they can't really meet up for the photo shoots all the time, but she's been working on that for 10 plus years. So I'm happy to be a big part of it.
I didn't realize that you had been collecting work from Michelle for as long as you have.
Yeah, when I was 18, I got my first tattoo, and it was not from Michelle. It was from some rando guy in his basement or something. And it was funny. It was actually like, so my husband is Phil Robertson, pretty awesome tattooer. And we've been together for 22 years.
Oh, wow.
When I was about 16, 17, we started dating, and he got me into tattooing. He started tattooing himself. And, at that time it was like tattoo magazines were the thing, that's what you looked at. You didn't really like have
Instagram wasn't a thing yet.
Any of this stuff. So, I remember looking through some tat magazines and seeing Michelle's work and just being like, wow, like that is what I want, like I could never like verbalize what I wanted, but her style really just like spoke to me. So anyways, I didn't think that awesome. It would be possible to get tattooed from her for some reason, because she lived far. That didn't really seem like a reality to me. So my first tattoo was it was based off of a Dino Cook tattoo, this fairy on a mushroom, but again, it was done in the basement of this rando guy in Cleveland. And I remember going to our first tattoo convention was Detroit, but it was when it was at that like shady hotel by the airport, kind of. It wasn't at the cool Motor City,
Oh man, I've only ever been to it at the Renaissance Center.
Yeah,
I can imagine it anywhere else.
Right.
Little hotel kind of by the Bob's Big Boy, where we would all go have dinner and stuff. And I remember sporting my new back tattoo of my fairy sitting on a mushroom and thinking I was like super cool. And
all this I've been had that.
I was wearing my halter top to show it off, and Phil's like, oh my God, Guy and Michelle are here. Like this was our first convention ever, so we were just like starstruck. And he, we went and talked to him, and Phil said, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna go take money out and get tattooed for Michelle. And so he got this like really cool mushroom piece on his. This was our first convention ever, so we were just like
Oh, we got an echo somewhere.
okay. Yeah, so he got tattooed, and Michelle, I just remember her saying, save your shoulder caps for me. I want to tattoo you. And I was like, really? Like, cool. So the next year we met up with them at Hell City in Columbus, and I got tattooed for the first time by her. So I was probably about 19.
Where was that? Well, like what? Like
I got
did you get tattooed
on the back of my neck.
right on your back?
On the back of my neck, yeah.
Oh, back of your neck.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then, yeah, so that was
What'd you get?
Yeah.
what?
What'd you get? What was the first thing you got from Michelle?
Oh, a butterfly on the back of my neck.
Okay. So it cut out just a little bit for a moment.
Real quick. I don't think your video is switching to your voice when you talk.
Okay.
Can you go to the little right in the corner on the? Do you know what I'm talking? Is it switching?
What we see is different. We don't see the same thing.
I'm just watching the Zoom thing up here. Usually it switches back and forth. I just think she has just one of your settings. So nice. So we got at least both on here now.
Okay.
Okay.
That better?
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, that works better. Perfect. Thank you.
Bigger than a thumbnail now.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's
Just
okay.
wanted to get it so we can both see each other on there. I didn't know if we were both being shown.
So, okay, back to Hell City, back to butterfly tattoo from Michelle.
Yep. I loved that tattoo, and at the time I was so young, I didn't know if I wanted to commit to sleeves. But after getting that tattoo, I knew that I wanted to be able to like enjoy them, because I couldn't see that tattoo, So that's, we started going. Michelle invited us to go down to Southern Illinois. This is before they had their shop. They were tattooing out of a friend's shop at the time. So me and Phil made the 9-hour drive and, met up at the Bob Evans. I don't know if you guys ever experienced that.
Oh yeah.
What is it now? It's the place that used to be a bank. That's where they meet. I've met them for breakfast a couple of times now.
Yeah. I mean, it was just so like, it was so bizarre to like, it's like, here we go down there, and, Guy and Michelle are so, I mean, it just was so odd to go down into the middle of this country and like go to this Bob Evans, and everyone's like, are you part of the tattoo crew? And we're like, yeah.
One of my favorite things to like talk about with people and educate people about is how like it's so easy to look at like an artist's work and for some reason think it's unattainable. But in reality, it's as easy as either introducing yourself or sending the email.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes like people get intimidated, and like I've had consultations where people will bring me another artist's work and they say, I want something like this. And I'll be like, well, you could probably just message them and they'll probably charge about the same, and I won't be faking it.
Right.
It's just amazing to see when that epiphany happens. Like, you're right. I could just message them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Just
message them.
I mean, it's so much more accessible now, but still not a lot of people get it, which, cheers to you guys for helps, spreading the message of you can do it.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Just reaching out. It's that easy. I mean, I definitely
Don't put
have
people
had
so much on the pedestal that you think they're inaccessible.
Yeah, I was there was a time where I was super starstruck anytime I was around Derb. There was a time where I was super starstruck anytime I was around Russ. But like, you still just reach out. There's still just normal people that schedule their stuff the same way that we do, or, similar ways to how other, industries and artists
if you
sell
take
their
out the
work.
if you take out the traveling part of it and you just say that's an obstacle, that no hurdle it, no matter what I'm gonna overcome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm willing to travel for a tattoo, then that opens pretty much everyone up to you.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't be afraid to message them.
I
Don't
think
be
Or
traveling part
whatever it
is
takes.
most fun
Definitely.
too. You know, I mean, you can kind of like make it a vacation and come back with a really cool souvenir.
Yeah.
When I was collecting my leg sleeve, I lived an hour north of Columbus. So when I was coming down to see Adam, it was only an hour drive. And it is totally different when you like wake up in the morning, you prepare for your tattoo, you go get your tattoo, and you go home and you sleep in your own bed. When I would go down to see Russ, whether it was 1 day or 2 days, there was always that like the entire month building up to that trip. And then the whole drive down, there was like the mental preparation. And there was, you know, it was so much easier to be mindful about how I like lived my life leading up to the tattoo, because like I'm traveling and I'm going to be in recovery. So like I take my vitamins, I eat better, I hydrate better, where like when I'm just waking up and throwing my shoes on and rolling out of the house, there's not quite as much prep.
Right.
But I think as far as like the mental journey of the tattoo, I think traveling adds to it. It doesn't like take from it or make it more inconvenient. It just makes it more of an experience, and it makes this art that you're collecting that much more like precious to you.
Yeah. I
Totally.
definitely agree
You've
with
got
that.
more time and energy in it yourself as well as the artist.
I feel like
So-
that word wholesome comes in. There's just a wholesome experience. You have everything, the whole experience, and then the tattoo in and of itself.
Mhm.
Everything you just said.
Every time we've come back from Guy and Michelle's, I mean, you guys know it's there are mentors, and they're just so inspiring. So, I mean, on the way back, it's like, you know, okay, we're gonna.
Oh, we're getting an echo again.
Oh, Lauren.
Nope.
We got it. It's from Lauren.
Nope,
It switched
it's-
to her when
you're
it
good.
happened, but it's all good.
But yeah, when the first time Jordan went over, he and I rode together, and I think it was really nice to be able to have that conversation on the way back. The first time I went to Guy and Michelle's, it was actually when Phil had to cancel and you were getting worked on the next day. That's the first time I met and hung out with you guys. But to ride home by myself and be like alone with my thoughts, I feel like it was better to like have that conversation with Jordan on the way back and like reflect upon, you know, the experiences that we had.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be as enjoyable if it wasn't like another tattoo collector or enthusiast that has like the same opinions, and like we can compare and
There's
contrast.
so
Like,
much to break down and talk about.
was it like this for you? It felt like this for me. And then like, oh, did you see that thing outside in the garden? Did you see the hummingbirds? Did you see the buzzards? Like there's all these, like you can
little
you
things
know,
to appreciate?
yeah, like
that maybe
relive
everyone would see.
moments and kind of like lock them into your memory a little bit more, I think. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah, they made that place like tattoo Wonderland. You know what I mean? Like, how could you not want to go get tattooed there? It's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we hope to get back out there, you know, sometime soon. It's always great to see them and hang out, and you know, Kaya and my daughter kind of the same age, and they get along really good, and just like a little vacation.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I know that you had known Guy and Michelle for a long time, but I didn't realize you had like 20 years of history between you. That's got to be really cool to see how like, you know, to like follow one another's careers and progress and
yeah, it's super
grow.
cool. They actually, so Phil and I got married 12 years ago in Hawaii, and they came to our wedding. They were the only, you know, we kind of just went off and did it, but they joined us, and it was super nice to have friends and mentors, and just like a perfect, you know, they've got a really great marriage relationship, and like it was just really special to have them there too. So fun traveling with them. We've been to New York. They like gave us so many opportunities. It's been really fun.
That's really cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, that makes
we went
how
to
special.
Alex Gray's
Cosm
yeah,
in New
the
York. Or
yeah,
nice.
the Temple of Sacred Mirrors.
Well, did you go to the one that was in the city, or did you go to the one that was like at his house in the country?
Though I went to the one in the city. I
Okay,
think
yeah.
Phil may have gone to the one in the house too, but yeah, that was a rad experience. They did this like paint jam, like
Oh,
very
yeah, that's awesome. I had
Yeah.
I had an awesome chance to go out there a few years ago, but I went out to I think it was like Fishkill, New York. It was where they're building Entheon, and where like his house is, and then he's got his gallery and like this mansion right next to his house.
Mhm.
And it's super cool. They had I went for a full moon gathering, and they had a bunch of fire spinners there. I had an opportunity to spin fire with them, and just like it was just a big rave. Honestly, it was cool watching Alex Gray get down. Like there was this like some electronic DJ there, like very like Tipper-esque style of DJ. And yeah, Alex Gray was just getting down. He had this big old like African bodyguard like next to him, just like straight up in like all this like garb, like he wasn't, from here. But it was awesome just like watching him get down, and his bodyguard was super awesome, super nice.
Nice.
So we were like talking to him. I got a chance to talk to Alex Gray a few times, and one awesome opportunity to talk to him. We had lunch with him.
I definitely want to make it over
We talked
there.
about
I haven't
aliens.
yet. Of course, you talked about aliens.
Yep, that's the first thing I talked about, because they planted me with him, and then this guy James Carmen, who just got done making this movie called The Hidden Hand, and it was on Netflix and shit.
Mhm.
This dude was just like hardcore, like trying to find all
Mindy,
these people
do you
who got
believe in aliens?
abductions and UFO stories and stuff.
Yes. I've had an alien experience one time.
No way.
Jordan loves hearing about alien experiences.
Well, just a little Deemsters. I didn't really go too far, but
Yep.
felt this presence, this alien waving over me, and I just, I don't know. I kind of got scared and backed away, but
That's a scary experience. DMT is not usually easy.
Jordan, the other night, he got pretty excited to overhear Marty sharing some of his alien stories.
Oh yeah, Marty Holcomb, the
I bet you
legend
so.
and the wizard at Red Tree. I was just wrapping up my tattoo. They left, and I was packing up my stuff, and my light was off and everything. I was just pretty much grabbing my trash bag to leave, and I hear him just talking about like, I can hear him like the fact he's like waving his hands around and like talking about like, oh, it was over there, and then it was like over there, and in my head I'm like, that's the way I talk about a UFO story. And so I'm like, Marty, you talking about UFOs? And yeah, he just was like, yeah, man, and just got really deep into this whole UFO story that he had. And he's like, I've only had one, but it was real. It was so real, and it was like 50 people that seen it with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, sweet. And I told him like 5 of my stories. Sat
Marty's
there
a
for like an
wizard,
hour
man.
with him.
He's been blessed.
Yeah,
Blessed by the aliens.
I'm like, that's how it happened for
Mhm.
you.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was cool talking to Alex Gray about that as well.
Yep.
Just hearing his opinion and stuff, and listening, or being able to tell that other guy.
Have you ever been worked on by Phil?
I have, yes. So back to the awful fairy on a mushroom. So I got that, and then I like had this like, I started going to tattoo conventions and really started seeing awesome work and getting tattooed from Michelle, and then everybody's like, well, why don't you let Phil tattoo you? And so I let him, take a stab at trying to fix the fairy, make it look a little bit better. And I think, just, it wasn't necessarily what I was going for, with some like heavier black outlines and stuff like that. So anyways, years later, and multiple sessions of laser tattoo removal, I got it lightened up, and then he just a couple years ago went back and covered it up with a large peacock and some peonies, and it kind of it ties in with Michelle's stuff really nice. So it still needs some work, going over that laser, but I'm like getting old and it's getting painful.
Right, doesn't get easier. Definitely doesn't get any easier.
What's the worst place you've been tattooed? What was that?
That area he went on to like my butt cheek, that's pretty sensitive. Underneath the arm sucks pretty bad. I have a Nick Baxter tattoo right here. It's a little feather, and that fucking sucks, dude. Like right behind her. I didn't realize how painful that was going to be, but I just,
Parts of the head aren't bad at all, but parts of it get really, really hot.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily, like the hotness doesn't last any longer than the tattoo, but it gets pretty stinking hot, like behind the ear. If you're like above the ear, it's not so bad. I hear the
you got
crown
some-
is horrible.
You've definitely had the worst of it on both sides there.
I feel like that was the easiest of it though. I don't know.
Well, at least
Behind the ear it sucks.
for what you would
but-
imagine on the head, you know what I mean? I got like a mandala thing that comes out from the back of my ear.
Does that
That
all
wasn't
the
that
way up?
bad. It doesn't come way out, but I mean like that far
Mhm.
outside of my ear.
Your armpits
Nice.
kind of fun.
my armpits?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I cheated and used Zensa and the Canada Paste because we were comparing and contrasting. So I did have a head start with that stuff each time. But
And that stuff definitely does a lot.
but like, I don't know, the way a guy approached it in like layers, it made it very tolerable. When I knew that like I was only committing to like 5 hours each day, it makes it like easy to count down the clock. When you sit down and you don't know if it's going to be 4 hours or 9 hours, that's when it's really hard.
Yeah.
But we had a pretty solid game plan, and I think mentally that really helped me get through it because, you know, I already knew how long I had sat for, you know, my chest with 2 artists and like 2 days back to back on my back. So I knew the armpits were going to be bad, but I knew they were going to be pretty superficial. So that like the actual armpit and underarm, that was spicy, but like the upper ribs is where it was really like exhausting, you know?
Yeah. It's pretty soft, like in those pits there, and you really get up to that bone and some hard spots right there,
I
right
just
in
feel like
that muscle.
Everything on the torso is exhausting. The torso is like,
It's true. It's definitely
Yeah.
true. Is your back totally done? I'm sorry, what?
Oh, I haven't experienced anything really on the torso yet.
Yeah. What about your
Mm.
back? Is it fairly open? You got quite a bit of
no.
tattoo?
That peacock is pretty much goes on my whole back, and then Michelle has kind of taken care of the shoulder blades and stuff like that. So
Nice. I'm gonna pull up. Do you have a lot of your tattoos on your Instagram? Or is it a lot of personal? Like, so I could bring it up, but I mean, if it's just all like personal stuff.
no, I mean there's tattoos up there, yeah. Like
Nice.
a lot of when Michelle photo shoots and stuff like that, and
oh, you know what? I don't
What
know.
you got?
I took some screen captures yesterday of some, it's pretty much just what we've got in the promo, but I've got some of these screen captures. These are off of Michelle's page.
Okay.
And we can talk a little bit about her Bloom project too, if we pull up Michelle's. You're actually on her page a lot. It was really easy to find pictures of you. I thought we were already like following one another on Instagram, but we
Yeah.
were not. You know what? I kind of like it better to be real life friends and not Instagram friends than Instagram friends and not real life friends.
yeah, I agree. It's the whole new like thing, and I don't know, like, so I'm a hairdresser, and I've been doing that for like 19 years as well, and it's just nice to have like all my clients really like they all came from like word of mouth, and just I can't imagine really like a clientele coming from the internet right now. I mean, it's cool and I'm glad it's happening. It's just like I feel old.
I don't know. Some of my best clients are ones that, you know, I've been working on their family since like before. I mean, Instagram was a thing, but it wasn't really like the go-to source for tattoos yet. So I guess I'm blessed that, you know, I got a lot of my clientele the old-fashioned way. I feel like internet clientele might be a little bit more wishy-washy, where, you know, when you've built a relationship with like father and son, and now like grandson is coming to you for tattoos, or you've worked on like, you know, all 3 aunts of a family, and now you work on all of the kids of those sisters, and then now their kids are coming. Those connections are, you know, not that it's not nice to get discovered randomly by like fans and admirers online, but there's just so much more of a special connection, and it's so much easier to brainstorm ideas when I've like known this person for years, even though I might not have worked on them yet.
Yeah.
Love that this is what it's like getting worked on it, guys. Just sunlight beaming in,
Oh, yeah.
super bright, super nice. usually right out on the other side of this girl's head, there's usually some vultures, two to three big old vultures that like to hang out.
If you pay real close attention, you'll see hummingbirds like nonstop. They blend right in. You've really got to kind of look for them or just see them dart from one tree to the next because they just look like extra little leaves dancing.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen those little hummingbird moths? They're moths that are hummingbirds and they buzz around super fast and super crazy.
So a lot of times when I see a hummingbird, I think it's a butterfly or a moth. So a lot of times it's like that double take where I think like a moth almost landed
this
on
isn't
me.
like a fast moth. This is like a literal hummingbird that's a moth. Like same body shape, same head, same everything.
I don't know if I've seen that specific.
They're called like a hawk moth or something
Hawk
like that.
moth.
Or it might just be like a hummingbird moth. Convergent evolution.
Convergent evolution. Okay. All right.
They evolved together but apart.
Oh man, I feel like I'm overdue for a trip out to hyperspace just because it's almost like a recharge. They're so far out in the woods, with the exception of the ticks in chiggers.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever encountered them?
Oh yeah. Every time we go, I come back with chigger bites.
Oh,
Awful, man.
That stuff. That sucks.
Don't stop on the trail. Keep it moving. Don't photograph anything.
You just
Take
have,
it in.
I think you just no matter what, they're going to get on you even from that. Just one step and you probably got 100 of them on your foot. Alcohol. You just got to fuck out your legs and feet right away and probably change your socks every time you come back in. The chiggers, you can't even see them.
I'll pull up this picture of all the ladies. Oh, there's Mindy. The next one is a nice picture of all of them in their dresses. Was that at Health City that you guys got together for that photo shoot?
Yeah, that was like, we were supposed to do, what last year when Health City canceled, we were going to do another photo shoot. So it was the year before that. So 2019, we got together. And then, we had another one planned. She's, I know she's working on her book and just kind of wanted to get more images. And Michelle and I are a lot alike when, in terms of, you do something and you just constantly want to make it better. You know what I mean? Like, I got those photos, but I know I could get these photos. And I don't know. It was just a lot of fun. I did some of the hairstyles for that photo shoot. We all kind of got fancy. It was very like Vanity Fair-esque. We just wanted to dress up and
get together and be bougie for the day.
Yeah, show that tattoos, like her tattoos just wear so well with an evening gown. That's always
I was just going to say elegance. It seems like one of the things she's like trying to capture overall is like this elegance and feminine quality to all of her work.
Yes.
And when she started doing work like this, there weren't really any other artists working in this manner. She's really like, occasionally you'd see like ornamental sleeves that mirrored one another, but a lot of people were not yet considering, an overall flow, like both sleeves together as one piece.
Right. And I love that. That's what, I'm so glad that I had the space for her and I didn't start getting tattooed on my arms, because I just love that symmetry and that look.
That's a good photo too. All of them sitting there. Just scroll up one more. I love the candid ones that are just kind of tucked in.
Yeah. I can't wait to see all those. I can't wait to see her book. I can't wait to have that book and, just have it at my salon and, people scrolling through it. It'll just be really cool.
It'll be like, oh, not only are your tattoos this cohesive thing, but like they're this cohesive thing with this whole group of women that are like, you've got to be somewhat similarly minded to wear such similar artwork and be, drawn to the same artist.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that Michelle's really the only, she's not the only one doing, colorful watercolory tattoos, but she's like making a culture of it with, and we're all friends and just, it's really cool.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of funny when we were doing the bio episode last week, I feel like everybody had at least some work from Adam or wanted work from Adam. But like, and I'm just using this for an example, but we were all drawn like moths to this one artist. But then, you know, we've talked to a lot of the other collectors on previous episodes, but like we all genuinely have like similar likes and interests, and we're all very like similarly minded and kind of thoughtful in the same directions. And I think that's kind of cool. Like being drawn to an artist, you would think it was just like as simple as like, oh, my taste dictates that I like this, but there's so much more to it. Like we're so much more similarly minded when we've all gone to the same artist, and then we've all had such similar experiences. And, you know, I think there are some artists that are almost have like a shamanic quality where like you almost feel healed after being worked on them, or if not healed, maybe just a little bit stronger or more powerful, you know, if you weren't in a position that you needed to recover from anything. And I think it would be really cool to be part of a project like the Bloom Project, because like in addition to like sharing all of these like interests, you have almost like a sisterhood. Like I've walked past you guys and seen you guys interacting, and you can tell that you have all like found this closeness with one another, even though you might not ever even like see each other outside of your photo shoots.
Right. Yeah, no, it's definitely a cool experience for sure. And I, every time I do get tattooed for Michelle, I always feel it's like therapy. I mean, I know everybody feels like that, you know, somewhat with a tattoo, but it really is a restart for me.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think the putting yourself through pain like that, I mean, definitely the shamanic quality of an artist for sure. I think, you know, depending on who the artist is and like what the vibe is in general can definitely play a big part. But just that sitting with a tattoo and sitting, you know, there's not a whole lot of instances where you're sitting for 5 to 6+ hours doing nothing, let alone doing nothing very next to someone else for that long, trying to cope with your mind, let alone also getting tortured the entire time. And so like that whole like sitting and overcoming and having your mind have this total escape from everything else that's like going on in the world to you for that long is something that you never put yourself through in any other situation unless you're like an avid like over meditator.
Even if you are an avid over meditator, you're not vulnerable when you're sitting in a room alone by yourself.
Yeah.
When you've got you're submitting, you're already like trusting yourself to be in the company of another person, but then to have them like inflicting trauma on you.
Just that level of like giving into trust.
Yeah, you've got to be completely vulnerable. You've got to allow yourself to be completely vulnerable, knowing that this person is going to hurt you, but you're trusting that it's all with the right intention. I think that's where a lot of, at least for me, I think that's where a lot of the growth comes. I don't think it's necessarily like reparative, the way that some people use it. Like they have stressful events and they want to get tattooed. With me, it's the opposite. If I'm stressed out, it's like, I'm not gonna dig it.
Yeah, I don't feel that. I personally don't like being in a negative mind space before I go into it, but I can sit with like maybe negative things that are going on in my head during that time, but not necessarily like say like big heartbreak or, you know, death in the family or something like that. Like I'm not going to jump to getting tattooed just to like go through pain to try to escape that. Like that's not going to help any of that process. I don't think. Like I mean, I don't want to speak for everyone there. I think personally it's not really going to help. It just makes the tattoo process hurt way more, makes it all just more intense.
Yeah, for me, I think the growth is more like, all right, I'm coming into this session fine and confident, but like, okay, it's going to break me down and make me humble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like where some people use a tattoo session to help heal. For me, it's almost like it breaks me down. It breaks me and makes me weak and vulnerable, which is something I don't like to feel, but like it's like, it's required to achieve this art. And then also like being an artist, I think it also makes me more empathetic to get broken down and to like push it to where like my client might have tapped out already, or like push it to where I want to tap out, but I know I'm going to push clients further than this. So it's like, I almost have to endure that, and I have to get broken down even further because I know I'm going to do this to somebody else next week. You know, like
As an artist, I definitely feel that.
I think there's a lot of growth in like just being kicked down a notch and then rebuilding. Like, oh, I thought I was tough. Reality proved that is a lie. I thought I could handle this. Reality proves I want to squirm like a little girl, and instead I'm just going to cry on the inside.
Yeah, the therapy thing I completely agree with. I think I feel so much better after I get tattooed. Definitely not during it, but you know, just that feeling after for a while, and then just like the detoxifying, the mental detoxification.
I feel like in the grand scheme of things, it's given me a lot more patience, like both patience and perseverance. Like, even though it sucks, I still got to sit through it and I got to tolerate it. Like, even when I hit that point where I'm like over it, I still got to like, do
persevere when you think it's over. Nope. Oh,
and
nope,
then like in other periods of life, like no matter how much it sucks, it's not going to suck worse than 9.5 hours in on my butt cheeks. It's not going to suck worse than that. So I can get through it.
Right. You find the inner mechanisms to get to overcome.
Yeah,
for sure. I think that's that's one of the best training things for the mind, is to have to sit through something like that. I feel like it's got to help so many other painful situations we encounter in life when we go through something that deep.
Yeah, it might not necessarily make the pain go away or make the pain less, but it's going to give you the mental fortitude to deal with it. Like, even just tough situations, not even necessarily physically painful things, but just like frustrating situations or challenging situations. Like, it's going to give you the mental fortitude to be like, all right, I've been through worse than this, so I can make it through this as well.
Yeah.
Jordan doesn't like it when I put the camera on him. Zoom in close next time.
It's okay.
I don't mind it being on us every now and then.
I was laughing at Mindy's kid jumping around. I loved it.
Over here.
Little goofball.
Is she gonna have any tattoos?
Is she gonna?
Is Rosalind gonna have tattoos?
What kind of tattoos you want? Who are you gonna have tattoo you?
Say fawn. Say fawn.
She will. I mean, if she does want tattoos, she'll have a sweet collection.
Oh, to be the child of a tattoo artist. To be able to like, oh, I want to get tattooed by so-and-so someday, and know that it like can happen.
Yeah. We'll just travel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wonder what that's like to be a child.
To be a child, you wonder what it's like to be a child.
Yeah, I always wonder. No, to be a child of a tattoo artist and like grow up with that like tattoo life. So so close.
Would I love it more or would I hate it?
Yeah, I mean, life is relative. So you grow up with something so much, maybe by the time you get 18, you're kind of sick of it, and you're like, this isn't cool. And I think what's cool is to not have any tattoos.
Yeah.
I think I grew up with parents that both had like
maybe I was always pressured
demanding
to be a tattoo
jobs
artist.
And control issues. So I ended up being an artist who makes my own life demanding and also am a control freak. I don't know. If I grew up with artists, I don't know. Maybe I'd be a chemist right now. Maybe I would have gone the opposite direction. Be like in a lab with a lab coat on, like super professional.
Yeah, I feel like there were a few decisions in my life that were definitely made off things I didn't want. So that like, you know, things that I was around so much, that I was like, nah, those aren't the things I'm going to want in life. So I want, you know, so art was like my deferring from like the rest of everything, you know, the separation, you know, so I feel like it could definitely be, you know, vice versa in that opposite situation where it's like, my parents are artists. They're amazing. They already got this down. I want to be a mechanic.
I mean, I want to be a computer programmer.
Yeah.
Ones and O's all day.
Yeah, you never know. Or they take it to the next level.
You know what I think is when you've got parents that it doesn't matter what they do, but as long as they're encouraging for you to do whatever you want, that's what gives an artist the freedom to create. You know what I mean? Like whether it's a parent encouraging you to like get good grades so you can make your own choices. I feel like that's roundabout very encouraging. Or, you know, it's the kind of parent that's like, oh, you're into drawing, you're into this, you're into that. And they like get you the tutorial books and they get you the materials to make it happen. Like it doesn't matter
supportive as opposed to,
yeah, it doesn't matter what the parent's job
control.
is, as long as they are just supportive in any creative energy in their child. If you're like, and I think there are so many things that fall into creative energy, but as long as you're just supportive and you're like, you know, kind of like watering a seed, you know, if you don't encourage that seed to grow and you don't give that seed sunlight and you don't give it what it needs, it's not going to grow into what that seed is potentially capable of. You know, you gotta.
Absolutely. I totally agree. What do you think, Rose? What do you want to be when you grow up?
Well, I don't really know.
And the good thing is it's not a race to figure it out. Like I know
Yeah.
people in their 30s and 40s that still don't really know what they want to do. Like it's, oh, I'm just working this job just because, but one of these days I'm going to figure out what makes me happy.
right?
Some people don't find it till later. It's not a race.
No, as long as you find it, that's what's important.
Mm-hmm. Let me see. I had a list of questions for you, but I think we've touched on all of them already. And it's 12:42. We've only talked about aliens for like 5 minutes though.
I'm trying to hold back. You see my face red over here?
See it. I see it. It's
Ready to explode. No, I'm just
aliens,
kidding.
man.
Just kidding.
Hear an alien story?
Yeah, I just like I was just joking, but I just love talking about aliens.
Yeah, I was gonna
Very
ask.
very interested in all that. I love hearing what other people have to say.
I think the only tattoo related thing I was gonna ask you was if you had any cover-ups, but you already shared your laser story, so that's all. We've touched on all the crucial tattoo things.
Yeah.
Nice. You got any future plans? Get more work done?
I mean, yeah, I know just kind of going over my arms and giving them a refresh is always in the future. I would love to get, I honestly, I don't know. I feel like I'm nearing I'm kind of done, but I would get my chest tattooed. I think I have a couple like plumerias right here, but just something, perhaps a rose or something like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe my like right here, but I don't have any lower body, like nothing on my legs, and I'm not really sure that I want to go that route. I don't know. I kind of like having a balance of both, you know, some blank skin and some.
So you're saying you don't see yourself covered from neck to toe?
No, I don't think so.
His dad has like so many tattoos on his legs.
Dad has a lot of tattoos.
How covered is Phil?
He's pretty covered. I mean,
Like he has a part of his foot that's not covered though.
oh, his
That's all.
one,
1 foot.
I think Derb did his 1 foot. Yeah.
But 1 foot is not.
He talks about getting his head tattooed.
Yes, a lot.
A lot. And you know, it's
How
not
do you
gonna-
feel about that?
I mean, he's got his whole neck tattooed, you know, so it would just, I don't know. I think his hair is fading, so it's not going to be coverable, you know, not that it should be, but I don't know. It's his body. He can
Right.
do-
Speaking of Phil, it's I just had a client come in the other day. He's got a full Phil sleeve, but it was actually from quite a few years ago, I think, that Phil finished it off. He's got a few empty patches, and then but he came in wanting me to do some biomech onto it and like working off of it. So I'll be working off of one of Phil's sleeves.
That's cool. Yeah, I
haven't met Phil yet.
I
But I
love
was like, so sweet. I love his work. It's awesome. Just want to let him know.
I love how just like the tattoo community is so like tight knit, you know. It's like I feel, I mean, you know, I'm not a tattoo artist, but I feel really privileged to be like friends with you guys and just a part of it.
We call it tattoo family.
Absolutely.
Tattoo family. And you know, it's a crazy thing.
It's big and it's small.
One of the things that we talk about missing so much about conventions, but Hell City in particular is like that family reunion quality. Like we've got other artists and acquaintances that like, that's the only time we see one another, but like, it's like family coming together each time we do get together to like talk ideas or have a drink or have a smoke. It's like, you know, it's like the kindred spirits and like-minded family reunion. And
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. It's really pretty cool how like interconnected the tattoo community really is.
I think that's what I love the most about conventions, to be honest. Like, don't get me wrong, I love tattooing, but I love being around, you know, just a collection of artists. You know, back with the tattoo family, now that I've been going for quite a few years, you know, you recognize so many people, and so many of my good friends are, you know, I only see them at tattoo conventions. And so it's really nice. I had a different point I was going with that, but I forgot.
It's a lot of fun when you're, you know, in the elevator and you're like, oh, let me see that, you know, and you get to see something like in real life. You've seen it in magazines and on the internet, but then you like get to see it in the elevator at Hell City.
Right.
Cool.
Yep. Yes, you'll see not only artists that you recognize, but it's like, oh, that's a such and such piece. That's a, ooh, so and so did that. Or the, oh, you're the one with the such and such. Those are always such cool conversations. I feel like I don't really have much on my arm. So unless you actually follow me personally, you wouldn't really know the tattoos that I have. But like, I've been in a lot of situations where I like just show off part of my leg and they're like, oh, I saw that the whole time it was being done. Or I'll show my chest or back or like another one of
tattoos
those.
later. You're just walking around the convention. You just see someone walking around with this huge, you know, Jesse Levitt piece that was getting done or some shit like that.
My armpits really get me a lot of like, oh, you're the one with that. Just because I think, I don't know, I got a lot of attention for blasting giant portals into my armpits.
Yeah. Them being armpits first off makes them pretty recognizable because there's so much being done directly in the armpits. Then the fact that they're symmetrical, good planning.
They are pretty
good planning.
They're like,
and
they're
it works
complementary.
right into everything else.
Yep.
And it's complementary to what you have up here too. You got these like 4 sections of complementary.
Yep.
Where you got like warm and cool, and then cool and warm.
And then the cool thing is my back is even a similar complementary color scheme. So as much as like in my own artwork and in my own tattoos, I play with light and how light affects, like light and temperature affect one another throughout the whole piece. It's really cool that my entire collection is taking on that kind of like light and temperature balance.
Yeah, it's working out really well. Yeah. Keep that up, because
I mean,
you already haven't broke that. Like, I mean, it's solidly with all your pieces, it seems like.
I just can't wait till my arms are covered. The time will come.
Are you going to do something cool and opposite on that? Or are you going to do another warm center or something?
If and when I have the chance to go to Russia, I will probably have the artist do whatever they want.
Show you those hands. Show those beautiful hands off.
Look at these.
Take the weed out.
Naked. Look at those arms.
Show those hands. I want to see that too. Any idea for that other hand?
No. Like, I mean, I can imagine since this is a nautilus shell, it'll probably be another spiral shape, but there are so many similar shapes in nature. Like if it was a giant fern finial, I'd be cool with that. If it was a mushroom, I'd be cool with that. If it was just a complementary swirl with glowing colors and like wigwagged, I'd be cool with that.
Artist wise, do you have an idea yet?
I want to have Samarina Nika do my left arm. Do you know who she is?
Yeah.
Pull her work up. Show everybody else who she is. I either want her to do my arm.
Russia?
Yeah, she's in Sochi. But I either want her to do my arm, or I would love for her. And there's an artist named Ilya Fam who I would love to have them collaborate. Look at this craziness. I feel like I could just talk about her work and show it off all day.
I see why.
Look at that one right there in the middle. Those light rays, the mountains. It's like a daydream of a color scheme as well.
It all reminds me of your work a lot too.
Mm-hmm. I think we're chasing some of the same visions.
Color demons?
I don't want to call them color demons. That's not right. Look at that chest piece. Would you wear something like this, Mindy? Oh, go back. Oh,
Can you make it bigger? or put it on the, I'm not really seeing them.
Oh, Jordan's not screen sharing yet. There we go. Scroll down one more.
Yeah, let me go back to these.
There we go. Screen share. I just love it. She's an incredible painter, but her tattoo work, she's pulling off the same tricks in her tattoos that she pulls off in her paintings. And that's, you know, might seem easy, but once you figure it out an image by painting it or digitally rendering it, sometimes the tricks are totally different when it comes to putting it in the skin. There's that chest piece I was talking about. Look at this thing.
Oh yeah,
What?
Yeah. That's awesome.
I like how she keeps like this level of transparency
Mhm.
with those.
Yep,
But
I look
all
at
of
her
this
work.
over here, how abstract all that like fire is.
I want to wear it,
So dynamic.
but I also like see it and it's like, ooh, goals. Like I feel like she's a little bit ahead of me in
Getting into
skill,
some hand stuff that day too.
but that's who I'm wanting to catch up with. I want to be able to make images like this.
Mushroom spiders. Love me some mushroom spiders.
It's crazy. Some of the things that they're pulling off over in Russia and Germany, they're so good.
They're just
I think the standard is higher over there than it is here.
A really high level of discipline sometimes. I don't know, we're all humans, but I hear that they got some crazy work
Look at that
ethic over
DNA
there.
strand. Look at that. That's like my daydream and your daydream combined, Jordan.
You're not wrong. Not wrong. Oh man.
Stuff like this makes me consider getting my whole throat done, and I don't know if I ever really want to get my neck done.
It's
I
like
kick ideas
reminds me
around.
of like a
but-
flower on the sun. If a flower was invincible and couldn't burn up and started sending off solar flares.
Yeah, if a solar flare evolved into an orchid. There we go.
Hyper realistic peyote, but trippy.
Yep.
Realer than real.
So my naked arm. That's what I would like. That's who and what I would like to do whatever they wanted to on it.
Those colors.
Look at that jelly at the knee. You see that jelly? So I've got this theory that jellyfish might actually be like totally conscious organisms without a skeleton. What if they're just like a floating nervous system?
What did you think? They were just like a plant?
What if they're aliens?
I totally
I
think
think they're aliens.
I totally think they're conscious. They
I
actually
think-
have
I
eyeballs.
think-
People didn't know that they have eyes. They actually have like 4 eyes or
They're
more,
such cool
depending on what
creatures.
kind they are. I definitely believe it. So I agree with you. I agree.
Maybe I could do a jelly tat.
Wonder what consciousness of a jelly would be like.
I don't know. I need
Basic
more coffee
sensory
though.
response.
I've drank it all. It's a sad day.
Yeah, I need more coffee as well.
I
I
need
also
coffee.
have to tinkle very bad.
You can take the first round.
First round of tinkling.
Sure. Mindy, have you or you and Phil been able to do any traveling?
No, not. I mean,
All we went to was Hocking Hills.
oh yeah, we did go to Hocking Hills in October. That was a nice little getaway, but you know, not with COVID.
Where are you guys?
We're in Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Cleveland, Ohio.
Our last trip, well, we went to Phoenix, we went to Hell City,
We
and
went to Puerto Rico.
yeah, I don't know what came first, Puerto Rico or Phoenix.
Puerto Rico.
Maybe that was the same year we went to Phoenix, maybe 2009 or 2019, yeah. And then the February before that, we went to Puerto Rico, which was pretty cool.
But then Dad almost died.
And we tried to meet up with Juan and his wife and have dinner, but it just didn't work out.
I can't wait to get back
I'll
to
be right
traveling. I had so many plans. I wanted to get to Europe last year. That was like one of my goals. Like I've done so much traveling to like get tattooed, and you know, it's not cheap. So I've been spending all my money traveling for tattoos. I wanted to like just get over to Europe. I wanted to hit some of the European conventions and just kind of like get my feet wet over there. But COVID happened. So I've traveled less in the past year than I think I have my entire life. I feel cooped up.
Have you flown yet?
We flew a few months ago. We flew out to Oregon to visit with Adam and Odds with Derb. And honestly, it wasn't bad. The airports were not packed. Everybody was like mindful about their masks. The planes were not crowded by any means. Like the masks are inconvenient, but other than that, it's almost easier traveling because there are so many fewer people. It's really easy to keep like your personal space. And so I mean, actually, I recommend if you want to travel, do it now. It's cheap, but at the same time, like a lot of the national parks aren't even fully open. So we couldn't even go to see like the redwoods. We could only go part way down the lane to get to them.
When
So
was
there's
that?
When did we go out to see Adam and Odds with Derb?
It was like, I feel like
4 months ago, maybe
in October.
Wait, your hands are
Yeah.
cold.
October-ish?
August, October, I think.
Yeah, August, October.
Sometime between those months.
I think October sounds about right.
I don't believe that.
And then
Yeah.
we went over to see Guy. And then I just recently went down to Florida for a couple of days, but I was super rural and I drove. So
What are you guys talking about?
I was just
Trips you've
asking
made
if she
lately?
had done, if she and Phil had done any traveling
Okay.
lately. Jordan's getting ready to travel.
Yeah, go to Washington 2 weeks from now.
Are you going to be out there tattooing or are you going to just casual hangout visit?
Casual hangout for a
Nice.
couple days.
Good.
Got a friend out there. Me and Emily are gonna go
Nice.
meet up with, and then at the end of April, early May, Derb and I and whoever else is coming are going to go to Angel's Landing, do the Angel's Landing hike in Zion.
Mm-hmm.
So that should be pretty fun.
We were talking about that the other day and like, I could make it happen. My schedule's not super far out yet. I could make
I
it happen.
think you should definitely make it happen.
What's your favorite place that you've been?
Hawaii for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like Hawaii better than Puerto Rico?
Oh, I've never been.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we got married on Maui and it was kind of a funny experience. When we got to LA and our flights were all messed up and long story short, they lost our luggage when we got to Hawaii. So we didn't have our luggage for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 days. And Guy and Michelle, I texted Michelle like, oh, we don't have our luggage. I'm so bummed out. Like my wedding dress was in there. Everything was in there, And when they got over like the next couple days that she picked up what she thought was her luggage and it turned out to be mine. It was crazy. So she took my luggage, but they were staying on the other side of the island that night. And so we met up with them, eventually got our luggage. And so it was kind of a bummer because we spent a lot of time trying to locate our luggage and worrying about that, when you just want to
Get to the fun.
Right.
So
It's a long
Maui-
time to not have it on a vacation.
yeah. And Maui was great, but I mean, it was kind of cool because it got to the point where I'm like, who cares if we have all this stuff? Phil and I had each other and that's all that matters, But
Makes you look at the grand scheme of things in a different way where it's like, oh, there were all these things that went wrong, but at the same time, there are all these things going right.
right. Yeah. And what really mattered was that, we're there and, I told Phil, just wear some coconuts and get married on the beach. But it was, so yeah, definitely. I loved Maui. I want to go back so badly. And then we went to Kauai and that was really magical too. They have a beautiful botanical gardens and I started getting into photography. We just bought a Canon Rebel right before the trip and Michelle let me use one of her macro lenses.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went to the botanical garden and that was kind of like my first go of like taking some really, really beautiful photos of flowers. And I fell in love with it.
I haven't been to Hawaii
Awesome.
yet, but a lot of my favorite flowers are Hawaiian. So I feel like if and when I make the trip to Hawaii, I've got to like be there for a while so I can like island hop. And I just want to like everything from the flowers to the volcanoes. I don't know if you've noticed how into volcanoes I am lately, but I feel like I've even got this like back burner plan that I need to like make happen. First, I need to make friends with some geologists. Second, I need to go to Hawaii with them. That way I can like go play on a volcano, ladle out some lava,
Okay.
do the things, wear the spacesuit. I feel like that's not part of the tourist program.
Right.
So
Just find yourself a handy dandy
I
geologist.
got to make friends with a geologist first, then go to Hawaii, play in the volcano, and then spend the rest of the time looking at waterfalls and crazy exotic alien looking flowers that may or may not eat you alive.
Yeah.
I would hope that they could eat me alive.
I
That's
feel
what I'd be
like
trying to find.
I feel like sometimes like the alien looking exotic flowers, like, okay, a bird of paradise. Have you ever like taken a bird of paradise apart? Its anatomy is totally different from other flowers. The pieces are all in different places. It's so weird. They're aliens. They're alien plants. King and Queen Protea, why are they fuzzy?
Are you sure they're
What's
not
the
just
fuzz for? Is it alive? Does it
time
breathe?
traveling plants?
They might be, Jordan.
They went
They
to the,
might be.
from the future. They came back
What
to
if
be a plant again in the past, but I'm gonna be this evolved plant on a prehistoric world.
maybe I'd be down. As much as I like talking about aliens, I like talking about time travel and interdimensional
Right.
travel.
Every
even
time
more.
we talk about aliens, Fawn's like, I think they could be,
They could be time travelers.
travelers.
like yeah, they're aliens, but have you considered the fact that they're time traveling aliens? That's a mind bender.
I think it's
because
all
if
of-
they've got
I
other
think it's all of it.
technology, if they've got other technology and they can like bend reality and manipulate gravity and this, that, and the third, why can't they travel from one dimension to another? Half the ghosts that we hear, what if they're aliens just like messing
Time
with
could-
us,
time could
like
be
sneaking up on
just
us and
another
like
easy
tapping us on the
dimension.
shoulder,
Time
walking
could
away?
be just another easy dimension to move through, just like everything else. So they move through time like we move through this like space time, but they just go back and forth. Maybe they just live on this whole
I bet
nother
aliens
dimension.
know how to time travel. We don't know how yet, but I bet aliens know how to time travel.
I think it's all out there. If it's possible, it's out there happening.
Oh man, we digress again.
It's extremely tattoo related.
Time travel?
Yeah, there would be time traveling tattoo artists if time travel's a thing.
Oh man. So my nephew was asking me one time if I had he asked me all the time, if you had a superpower, what would it be? One day I was like, time travel. And he's like, why? I was like, I just want to travel back a few hours or forward a few hours, just so that like if something is like horrible, I can just like skip over it.
Oh, he just wants to do a redo.
Either or. I could like I just want a few hour bend.
Show
if I
him
could
what-
if I
show-
could bounce back like 4 or 5 hours.
There's an
bounce
episode
forward
of
4 or 5
Rick
hours.
and Morty that explains that one perfectly. And why not to do that?
Why not travel to hopscotch on the time
Right.
time continuum?
Have yourself a nice little redo button. Maybe if you got a jump forward button.
Would you jump forward?
Oh, if I had the technology, I'd do both for sure. I would.
It'd be like, do you remember the Adam Sandler movie Click, where he could like freeze time?
Oh yeah, yeah.
What if we could do that?
What does he do with it?
You could just like freeze reality. It's been a long time since I've seen it.
Yeah. If I could do that, that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I'd go back and not get that fairy tattoo.
She's
Redo.
like, let me go back several
Redo.
years, just undo this few minutes in like the basement tattoo party. Just undo that period of time. Like watch a Bill Murray movie instead.
Oh, just 6 months too late, like started getting starting to see, I didn't meet Michelle soon enough. That's all.
Sometimes I feel like for some people, there's almost like you've got to get a subpar tattoo to make you appreciate how good a tattoo can be. And like, I've always been really careful to not, I didn't want to have a tattoo that I was disappointed with. So I've always been super discriminate about like the artists that like I would even consider working on me. But I don't know. I just feel like there are some collectors that like once they get something they're not happy with, then it now has raised the bar. So they're not going to like settle for less than, they're not going to settle for average. It raises the bar because they realize like, I don't know, I call it real estate. You realize you only have so much real estate and you don't want to cover it with stuff that you're not totally satisfied with, because not only have you like given up that space, but now you can't get something better there unless you go through like the laser sessions and all of that.
Yep, that's what we're here for, is to educate, so people can make the early decisions early on for us who made some bad ones at first.
Hashtag no cover-ups.
Yeah, hashtag hopefully.
Preventing cover-ups one collector at a time.
Yes.
So what would you guys tell, like, just for, you know, when I have some friends watching, or just the average person who wants a cool tattoo and has like an idea but doesn't really know how to go about it, like what do you guys suggest to tell them?
You know, one of the things I like to talk to people about is, I say it all the time, but I really mean it, is it's not a race. Like if you have a tattoo idea, you don't have to get it next weekend. You don't have to like, oh, I got this idea for a sleeve. Who can get me in tomorrow? You have one body. You have one large piece of real estate, and you know, use it wisely and be patient with it.
But
do your homework before you make big commitments.
I think that would be the big one, is definitely do your homework. If you don't really know what you want, but you know you want something cool and big and stuff, you know, try to figure out what artists you like, what styles you like what are different genres that you could imagine yourself having. And then if you still have a hard time, you know, dwindle them down from there. And, you know, then find the artists that do those styles, dwindle them down from there.
Yep.
If you know you want me to do it, or like, you know, another artist, if you're going to someone and you know that, you know, that you want that person to do it, but you don't know exactly what to tell them or something, you know, it'd be, I would say, you know, look at some of my old previous work and stuff. What is it about my work in particular that you like?
Yeah.
You know, what are, you know, what don't you like? If there's, you know, pieces of mine that you aren't so much, you know, pulled towards, if there's, you know, feel free to show me, you know, one of those, a couple of those, or something that you just don't want in your tattoo. Or, but, you know, if you show me more of the types of things that you like, that's, so having some reference. I don't need a ton of work from other people and stuff, but if that helps you give me an idea a little bit, if it helps me get an idea of kind of where your head's at, if it's like certain geometrical shapes or patterns, you know, because I do a lot of geometric work or bioorganic work, you know, showing me a few things that kind of float your boat a little bit. So coming up with just some sort of small reference and idea to give me some influence, but showing what you do and don't like.
So one of the things that like, it's a loose phrase that like we say it a lot, all tattooers say it a lot, is do your homework. It's really hard if you're not in the tattoo scene and you're not eating, breathing, sleeping this, to like know how to do your homework. So when we say things like that, what we mean is
it's hard, but it's like easy.
With the days of Instagram and Facebook, the first thing I would do, and sometimes people do this and it drives me crazy, and other times it works out great. But like you could go to your Facebook feed and be like, hey, I'm looking for this kind of a tattoo. Out of all my friends, who do you recommend for tattoos of this style? And you'll inevitably get a list of at least a few artists, but that's a start. You don't even have to choose any one of those artists, but that's going to give you a start of the artists that are in your area. And then you can like usually go through their portfolio and their work on their Facebook or Instagram pages. The next thing I would do, if you're totally jumping in first time and you don't really even know how to research anything, is start looking at different tattooers' Instagram pages. Most artists today, I think it's safe to say that most artists use Instagram as their portfolio. Would you agree?
Yeah, every artist is going to have their portfolio on their Instagram.
Yeah, so
you're not going to find an artist who's worth going to probably that doesn't, unless they've just been around for so long that they just are cool with what they're doing and just haven't changed much and stuff. You know, there are probably those legends out there who are like, you know, 60 plus that just don't have any social media. But I have yet to ever find a tattoo artist who did not have a social media or an Instagram.
Yeah.
Now in the past 10 years.
But one of the things to look at, and you kind of touched on it, is like maybe know what you don't like. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it
Personally,
really
that
helps to
helps me
narrow things
more.
down a
That helps
lot.
me more than showing me what you like sometimes, to be
Mhm.
honest. Like I love it. I love it.
Yep. Eliminate the artist
don't
who
go
like
too
you
crazy
scroll
on it.
through their work and it's like, I can't see myself wearing this kind of stuff. And it doesn't even mean that artist is bad or not as good. It's just, I can't see myself wearing anything from this artist.
But imagine this
So-
now. So someone sends you 10 references of things that they don't like. Then to me, what that does is that, I mean, that just starts to confuse me, and it might start having me like, quite, if it's like you're sending me all things it's just like you don't like, and it's like a bunch of things of my own work or something, I'm gonna have a hard time being like, okay,
We stand corrected.
well, what
Gabe just
what-
messaged me. He said that Jeff Gogwe deleted his Instagram. So he's a pretty prolific tattooer.
Jeff
No
Gogwe did?
Instagram.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, Jeff Gogwe, if you want to see his work, you now can't.
You just got to know who Jeff is.
Yeah,
You just got to know who he is. No Insta for you.
If you know, you know.
Yep.
It's all right. I dig it.
But yeah, it's really a matter of like knowing what you like. If you know what you like, you're probably going to be drawn to artists who are very similar minded to you, because if they're doing artwork you like, their imagination is probably running on the same like vibrational wavelength as you. So, you know, when you see an artist where like every single tattoo they do, you're like, I don't know what it is, but I like it.
Mhm.
And then they do something that's a totally different style, and it's like, oh, I like that too. Once you have that and you see like consistent work from an artist and you like every piece, then that's the time to like just reach out to them. You know, just keep in mind that there's never any race. There's never any like, I don't know. I like to say that there's no such thing as an emergency tattoo.
Fucking damn right.
You know, there's no such thing as an emergency tattoo. So when you think about it like that and you remove time from a variable of your artwork,
I think that's a huge thing to touch on, is the fact, like, if you want to get tattooed even next week, like, why?
you're going to be limited to somebody who, why isn't their schedule full?
Yeah, exactly. Like, whose schedule can you get in next week? Unless, like, sometimes I'll have like a quick opening and I'll be like, I'll get someone in, but it'll be like that day, and then it'll be nothing for another 2-3 months. But there should be no reason to just want to get tattooed next week. Like, hey, if that can happen, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But it's also like, don't ever
idea,
expect that. Always expect to wait at least a month.
Yeah.
At least, if
you've
not
got an
3.
idea that is good enough and important enough to you that you want to wear it for the rest of your life, and you want to talk about it for the rest of your life, and you want to show it to your grandkids. Like, if you are like that committed to an idea, well, wouldn't you want it to be as good as possible? And when it's going to last the rest of your life, wouldn't you want to just be patient and get in with the person who's going to please you and do exactly what you're imagining?
Yeah.
You know, and then on top of that, there's always like the collaborative process too. Like if you're following artists, or you're like considering an artist where you just love everything that they do, you're probably going to be able to give them your idea, and then there's going to be this collaborative back and forth, and you're probably going to just naturally come to a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually thinking about you this morning, Jordan. So Jordan has had this client who has been a little bit hard to please, and he's had to like redraw her work several times now. And I feel like it's one of those where, like, as he was asking me about it, I was like, I feel like you should just refund her deposit and tell her to find another artist, because it just seems like you're not on the same wavelength. Like, she's either wanting something that your imagination doesn't do, or she's too picky and not ready to get tattooed. Like, it's one of those two things.
Right.
Like, you're either
wanna
vibrationally different, or she's not ready.
Right.
And
yeah.
Neither of those things are something that you should waste any more time with.
Yeah. I think, communication errors and things that were happening on this end was like, off the bat, I don't want to throw her under the bus too much.
Don't use any names or anything.
Yeah, I mean, just like first, so I do a lot of black work and a lot of geometric work and stuff. So people will come at me with all sorts of different black work stuff, even stuff that I don't do a ton.
Mhm.
First, so she came at me with wanting Polynesian, and like, I'm cool with Polynesian. I like doing that, right? So I drew up a full Polynesian piece, and yeah, she didn't end up wanting that. But there's also, I don't know. There's a lot to the whole thing that I don't think I need to get into all the details.
So
really.
did she
on
totally
the
jump
spot.
styles on the black shirt work she wanted?
She started off with like 4 different concepts she wanted involved with like say family members in mountains and then in waves and then in these different things. And like off the bat felt like, okay, it sounds like some things that doable. Cool. You're showing me pictures of things that I do and I like. End up drawing it. No, this isn't it. I need this and this changed and this changed. I don't think that is exactly not what I'm going for. I'm like, all right, well, don't want you to get something that you don't love. I'm willing to do what it takes to get it to be something that you love. So I redraw it and it was kind of the same, except now there was a whole nother, 10 references sent over of, new things. And the new things are just totally different than what the first ones were. And like, so now I'm like, I really have like kind of no idea really where we're going with this now.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're getting farther off the track while still getting closer. And so I end up doing a third one, still not it, pretty much exactly what we discussed and exactly what we're going for. And I'm having a hard time even putting things together because I'm not in my flow anymore. Now I'm like, how am I going to incorporate this with this? I just don't know how I'm going to do this. This is really outside of my normal flow. So try it again, 4th time, wasn't it? And yeah, pretty much.
I think there should be like 4 times and you're done. Like
Yeah. And I was just trying to go a little extra. Normally for like full redraws like that, I won't always do it, but there was just like there were little miscommunications and things that I was like, okay, cool. I'm cool with redoing this. She was, she's not super difficult as much as just keeps going with more and more. And I'm trying not to be, trying not to get like stressed out about the situation and like visibly in any sort of way stressed out with her, just trying to figure it out.
There comes a time though, like you've already got
Where you-
so many hours in
where you
this
have
project.
to visibly show also that like I'm
Mhm.
stressed out about this. Like I'm getting farther away from the point, and now the more redraws we do, the farther I'm getting away from this. It's not getting any closer.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's from necessarily me. I was starting to realize that it's from, I've had other clients like this before. It's just like a recent type 1, and it's definitely not a nightmare client, but it's oh fuck, what was I gonna say?
we just hold on, you're already forgetting.
She fuck.
She's not difficult.
Yeah.
Where were you going? He lost his train of thought.
I think it's okay to say no.
Yeah. Yeah.
There comes a point where I think that's the classier thing to say. Like, I'm a people pleaser. If you want me to work on you, I want to work on you. But there comes a point where it's like, there is no way you can pay me enough to make up for the amount of time I've wasted on this project. And that sounds very cold. That sounds very cold to say. But like,
it probably would have been a 3 or 4 session tattoo that we're doing, and I probably spent more time on the drawing than what the tattoo will end up, because I'm not like take me an hour to draw every tattoo I do. Like, I fucking love it when I see other people that can do that, just like, oh yeah, come in that day and we'll just draw it and get it done in front of you. Like 10 hours, all my drawings, 8 to 10 hours, just about. If I'm tattooing someone that's going to be a big tattoo, especially sleeves and stuff, like I know I do geometric work and there's a lot of reference work that can happen with that, but man, that just means I spend more time getting it, composing and getting things together,
getting it all to fit.
So
where it
there's
needs.
I don't like cheat code. It's not quick. Everything takes a long time, and like I draw up all these things, and it's like, oh yeah, I just want that changed, and I want this changed, and then this over here.
Let's just
It's
make
like-
this little tweak.
It's like,
right
okay,
here.
well, those tweaks are 8-hour tweaks. Those are not tweaks I can do quickly. I'm cool with doing that, but I don't think that's going to happen before our tattoo today. I don't think we can do that. And she's been totally understanding about it. It's just in that understanding, she becomes like more open, like, okay, no, now's my time, since we have another 2 weeks till our tattoo again. Now's my time to just send him a bunch more references, just confuse him as much as I can, just change my ideas from what they were in the first place, not clarifying the ideas, start to, change them. I'm sorry. Now I'm getting onto a venting
No,
point.
I was actually just kind of like imagining like how nice it must be from Mindy's point of view to be just like as a collector, but so connected to the community. Like, you get to hear Phil's frustration, I'm sure, firsthand. You know what I mean? So without even like being a tattooer, you already know the pet peeves of every tattooer in the community. So like,
Yeah. Yeah, and I do hair, so that it kind of ties. It's kind of the same thing. Like there's people want dumb ideas. I don't want my name on that. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna do that. So I get where you guys would, where you come from like that, but
Yeah.
it's just hard I'm the same way. You just want to please everybody, and you want to do your best, and you want to make everybody happy. But I think in reality, it's never, you can't make everybody happy.
Right. And sometimes sometimes it's just comes down to like this battle of the minds, because I feel like I just can't, because everything this person wants, it's just totally exactly what I do. It's just like what she wants. So I almost feel bad for not being able to get it right. You know what I mean? Like I want to get it right for you, but you just confusing it for me. Like in everything I do, you can't settle on it because now it's easily changeable to you.
So I had a challenging consultation a few weeks ago, and it's somebody I've worked on before, and he's actually a great client. And I know that like by nature, he's a little bit anal retentive, and, he's a numbers guy, like that for a living. He's a number cruncher. So like, you can imagine he's just very like type A, very like, he wants it done the way he imagines. And so he and I are like going back and forth. So his lower sleeve that I've done in the past was, it's all like religious and kind of dedicated to his mother and father and immediate family. And so the upper part of the sleeve, he wanted it to be about his like African heritage. So he's wanting to do something kind of like in the style of Arlo, but he wants all these nature elements. So it's like, oh yeah, that's totally up my jam. We can totally like morph a face into an African scene. We can totally do that. So we're going back and forth, and we've got like all the elements.
Oh, is
like
this I remember this one.
We've
This
got
is the
all the
mountains one.
elements picked out, and like he in his imagination, he wanted like a certain type of mountains as like the background to tie all of these elements together. And like I keep like pulling up all these different references for him, and he's like, no. And like we're going back and forth, and we're talking like a multiple hour consultation where we're hung up on this one detail, and he's getting frustrated because he's like, no, I want them to be pointed mountains. And he shows me again like the references, and he's like, I want mountains like this. And I finally was like, I cannot in good conscience do a tattoo on you that is about your African heritage with the American Rockies in it. And he was like, you can tell where a mountain's from just by looking at it. I was like, they don't have pine trees in Africa. So we had this like back and forth the whole time where like he was getting frustrated because he didn't think I was listening to him, where like in reality it was like, right, but like I can't do like these pointed Swiss Alps, and I can't do these pointed American Rockies with snowy pine trees in the front as the background to your mother African sleeved or themed sleeve. I can't in good conscience do that. They're not the same story. And he was like, oh, like you could see that it clicked to him that I had been listening the entire time. I was just like a couple of steps ahead of him. And then he was like, well, show me those other mountains that you were looking at. And within 5 minutes, we had a mountain chain that was like from Kenya with like the appropriate trees to be like an African themed background to these like powerful African images. So it was like incredibly challenging to come to that point. But once we finally did, once there was that breakthrough in communication and he realized I was listening and I just wanted to make the story correct as we could, it meant that like he had to compromise his initial vision, because not that it was a bad vision, but because it wasn't geographically correct.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I can't in good conscience do that to you, man. Like, I'd love to just do it, but I can't in good conscience deliberately do this and put my name on it. Like, so it was definitely if I didn't already know him and I didn't already have a rapport with him, I probably would have been frustrated and been like, you got to go to somebody else for this, just because it took like 2.5 or 3 hours to get to that point. But because I've already worked on him, I was already like kind of mentally prepared for this back and forth that we have every time, just because he has such specific visions. But once we finally got there and he saw my hold up, it was like 5 minutes. We're on the same page. He's stoked. I'm stoked. And now we're both confident it's going to be a good, correct tattoo. Not just like good, well done, but correct to the story he's trying to tell.
Trust.
Yeah.
Trust your artist. I can get where he's coming from, but definitely sometimes we're 2 steps ahead.
Yeah, it's just such a little detail, but you know how much time I spend like
mountains
looking
to
at
like
scenery.
visually represent mountains. You know, you want it to visually represent someone's idea of a mountain. So when they see it, they don't see hills, they see a mountain. But it's sometimes you have to be real with yourself and be like, I want, like, what was it, like Kenya or something like that?
Yeah. I mean, it didn't even necessarily specifically have to be Kenyan, but like I just felt like an African geographic form was more appropriate than like
pine tree Rocky Mountains that he needed.
Right.
He felt he needed.
Right. But we got there. So have you ever had any like challenging moments communicating?
To all those tattoo artists out there too, Fawn, yes, she said a couple hour consultation.
All my consultations are at least an hour.
Crazy.
At least an hour.
Yeah, an hour's usually is my dedicate about an hour, but sometimes I'll have a half a day of consultations and you're still with like the first person. Like, holy crap, what do you guys talk about?
I mean, sometimes my consultations though are like regular clients, so we'll like get our consultation done and then we just start like visiting until my next consultation comes in. So there's that too.
I envy it though. It sounds like I make fun of it, but like I definitely envy that. I think that's awesome that you get so much clarification also with your tattoos and like with where you're going with it. So there's not those questions. So like in a situation like that, it might have helped me nip it in the bud with this last client that I had that I'm having the issues with redrawing that, if we delved in for 2 hours, maybe we would have got to the point of like, these things aren't necessarily going to work. But my workflow doesn't entail me
here's another
working
thing
in front of people like that on their drawing.
I was going to bring this up a minute
and
ago.
And their ideas, there's not 2 hours worth of ideas to put into it when you're talking about hexagons.
We jumped down a different rabbit hole. Another thing, when I have had very challenging consultations where like I understand your ideas, but they're visually not going to make sense together. Sometimes it's like, this could be 2 tattoos, right? Like you don't have to put all of this into one. And sometimes like that's the epiphany my client needs. It's like, oh, well, you're right. I can do this tattoo to represent my mother and I can do something else for my child. Like, yeah, they don't have to be one. I don't have to do this weird arrangement of collaged things that don't have anything to do with each. I could do 2 separate pieces. So sometimes for difficult consultations, that's where it's like, is there any reason you want all of these together? Oh, you've never been tattooed and you're just the most epic tattoo with everything. Well, it might be more epic if you got 2 tattoos. Yeah. And sometimes that's a great epiphany. And that's where like that gap can be bridged of like, no, I'm really hearing you and I want this to be a good tattoo and I want you to be proud of it. Have you thought about doing 2 tattoos instead of 1 that's a little jumbled and hard to read?
I think in terms of like me and Michelle, like discussing that kind of stuff, and it's super easy for me because none of my tattoos mean anything, I mean,
just ornamental.
Just for really aesthetic. And that takes a lot out of the equation.
For art.
Right. I think, Fawn, well, I wouldn't necessarily say that about your landscapes and stuff like that. I think my work is definitely ornamental and like even the bio and the geo. So when people come to me with like trying to warp it into, 5 different concepts with it, I definitely encounter a few bumps. So the easiest ones, come with the ones that really aren't going to have a ton of meaning. It's more for decorating the body and the shape of the body. But when I think people come to me with the ideas, like they have to have it be like this whole scene and all these different things and stuff. And that's usually what throws me off. And at first it'll be like, yeah, that sounds okay. That sounds really cool. And then I get to the practicality of what we want to do here. And I'm like,
these do not go together. This is
oil
and water.
Like it's all concepts I work with all the time, but like the mesh of this.
Yeah. Those are, and sometimes you can combine like 2 styles pretty easily. But if you try to combine like 3 or 4 genres into one tattoo or one scene, that's where it gets very busy looking. And those are where it's like, have you considered multiple tattoos? Is there any reason this needs to be just one?
Yeah, exactly.
But that's actually been really helpful with my consultations. If you're listening and you've ever had an artist ask you that or anything like that, it's not really because they're necessarily just trying to sell you more tattoos. It's really probably genuine and they care enough to like direct you to doing the right thing. It's rare, but I have had people like, oh, you're just trying to sell me 2 sleeves.
Right.
Like,
And I can definitely, from everything
no.
we've just talked about, I can definitely speak from like, don't overwhelm your artist with a project. I don't necessarily want to say make it easy for them, but also like make it easy for them. So if you're coming to someone with a ton of ideas for one tattoo,
the more fun your artist is going to have, the more they're going to push it for you.
Don't want to restrict anyone from like, having their ideas. Always feel free to speak your ideas, and I hope the artist can help you find your way with it.
What would you do if somebody sat down in your chair and they were like, I want some rocky bio, but I want it to look like sandstone, not limestone?
That's actually a really important thing, because that's where I'd be like, say no more. It's funny because it sounds very ambiguous and very abstract and vague. But to me, I'm like, oh yeah, perfect. Because that's the language I speak. So maybe figure out maybe look at their art, learn to talk their language a little bit with it.
Find the right space alien that's on the same wavelength. Just
the right words. Because sometimes even with an email, that's all it is. It's just like, say the right words to get me to be like really interested in something.
Usually if somebody drops the word imaginary, it's like, oh, you said imagined.
Did you say daydreams?
Yep. That's it.
I definitely got tons of trigger words.
Yep. There are definite trigger words. So am I remembering right that you have to have an obligation at 1:30, or can you stay with us longer?
It's at 2. I can stay for about 4 minutes.
Okay.
We got to hit the road. I got to take my cat to the vet.
I just took my kitties to the vet. They hated it.
Just like normal stuff? Or are they sick?
Yeah. She's puking a lot, so we just got to figure it out.
Aww.
He's like 15 years old, so hopefully it's nothing serious.
Yeah, hopefully. I love cats so much. I'm such a cat person.
We have 3 cats and 1 dog. Tell them about your cat.
She's the devil.
Is that the one from the deep south?
I love it.
The flask.
Yep, Drowsy over here.
He's going crazy.
Having a fucking time.
He's been going crazy for a minute.
Just ignore that.
This is a producer. He does what he wants.
Should we show him?
That's on you. I don't know if you can see the kitty back there.
Is that a little devil too?
That is a little devil.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me grab him.
He's humping the blanket, and I'm too far away to stop him.
Take this baby boy.
Aww.
There he is. He's not even looking at the camera.
Drowsy.
There he goes.
It looks just like Salem.
Yeah, but
Aww.
Take
Yep. This is Drowsy.
You look smaller.
Who?
This cat.
Oh, yeah.
Aww.
He's just a baby. He's almost 1. I think he's about 1 now.
Yeah. So Salem's about 1 too, but she's the fattest cat.
Yeah. She's the fattest cat that our friend saw.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love cats. They're the best.
me too. I'm secretly trying to make my cat a fat cat, but also a healthy cat.
I can't wait till Mr. gets fat. I know he's going to.
I got
He'll
him
look like a Garfield.
I got him an auto feeder. So it just keeps coming.
Oh yeah.
Keeps coming.
Soon. Yeah. That's how it happens.
I knew it happened with the auto feeder.
Get them their favorite food, put it in an auto feeder.
Right, and Eon, I got my dog here. He's 14, so I give him whatever he wants. If he wants leftovers and stuff, I know it's not the healthiest for him. I never did that when he was young, but now that he's older, I'm like,
Let me
whatever
ask
you
you
want,
this.
bud.
Would you ever get a pet tattoo? Would you get a portrait or a tribute to any of your pets?
I'd probably do something for Eon. I don't know what it would be yet. I would probably do something cool like black work and like kind of scary, but also like Eon and awesome. So like could be like
Chaotic, but
semi
chill.
funny, like because he's in there, but like just having him in there. But I couldn't imagine getting like, it's like, like a dog portrait somewhere or something like that. It would be some sort of tribute or something.
I don't know. I feel like
In
I'd
a
be
style,
sad if I
in a
looked
style that I
down.
would like.
If I looked down and saw like a picture of a past pet, I feel like it would make me sad.
Yeah. See, that's where I'm kind of at too.
Aw.
I don't know if I would do that.
Aw.
Mostly for my own collection too.
I love doing them though. I love doing animal portraits. Animal portrait is so much more fun than a people portrait just because they're always more lighthearted.
I love recreating things because I never just like recreate things from a photo. I
Yeah.
like drawing all my own stuff. So I love it when I can like do realism and just like piece by piece
get into those
transfer
little
exactly
details.
what's in a photo, and if I'm going to do a
Mhm.
pet portrait, I'm not going to draw that by myself. I'm going to like go over all the lines and things
Mhm.
like that. And so it's almost just like robotic and like, I don't know, is what it's going to be, is what it is.
Jordan puts on Xerox mode.
Yep. Puts me in Xerox
the
mode.
Xerox mode on and throws his robot legs to the side.
Mhm. Yeah, there's something fun about that. Like I do like that.
The extreme replication.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I haven't. I feel like a lot of my, a lot of my nature scenes and stuff are like combinations of several images. I haven't had to like copy verbatim in a while, but it really is a fun challenge. It's super gratifying to like.
I feel like it teaches me a lot every time
Mhm.
I do it. If I do try to do it verbatim, I don't think I like that. The goal is to get there, but I don't think you ever like fully achieve it. It's like you always just try to get the closest you can. At least with my part, I like
Mhm.
to do that. It's been a little while since someone's come to me with like a realism piece, but
I
love
don't
to get
know.
into it.
Anytime I have like a legitimate realism piece, I always like the whole time it's like, what would Steve Butcher do? What color would Nico Hurtado choose? Those are my, and then at the same time,
I think those would be
how
my,
can I
those
saturate
would
this
probably
as
be my
quick as
questions a lot
possible?
more nowadays. How can I take that to the next level? Where can I? Okay, I can take that realism, but where's the turquoise glow going to be?
Right. And then you put your Tofi hat on for a minute.
Right, and like, how am I gonna bust this thing's head open into this weird bio zipper? Like,
Right.
how's that about to happen?
And I'll
And
still
be sandstone,
photorealistic.
but it's got to be limestone looking, but it's sandstone.
What's the difference?
But it's also got to
White
look like
stipples.
bubbly. It's got to morph into like bubbly cells and like carrion looking.
I feel like
bloody
I
stuff.
feel like you're rolling around a specific image right now. If anybody wants it.
I'm traveling around in it. Yeah,
Oh man.
that's my daydream.
So you said maybe your chest for a future tattoo?
Yeah,
Is that-
I had some henna back in October, just at a friend's house. We were having fun, and I really loved the way that looked on my chest. It was a kind of like a necklace. So I, of course, sent a picture to Michelle saying, next tattoo. Hopefully, yeah. That sounds good to me. I'd also like to get I love Phil Garcia,
Mm-hmm.
his roses. So my daughter's name is Rosalie, and I would love to get a rose from him. So maybe kind of, I don't know where that would go, but maybe under my, I don't know, is that sternum?
Yeah, the solar plexus.
Yeah.
I call that the soul button. It'll be
Oof.
getting your
Yeah.
soul tattooed.
That definitely makes me nervous, but I'll just get some of that numbing cream.
Zensa.
Yeah.
That's the stuff. It's like $40 a tube, give or take, depending on where you get it from. We happen to carry it at True Tattoo Supply.
Yeah, anytime I know I'm gonna get some rough tattooing done, I use that shit. It works. It
Yeah.
works. If you let that shit sit on for more than like 45 minutes,
Yep.
I'd say I usually do
It's a
like an
great
hour or
head
two.
start for tough areas.
And it feels weird.
It only lasts for so long, but it's a really nice head start. And like as it wears off, you'll like gradually get to like the full pain, but it's kind of a nice like head start and then ease into what you're really like buckled up for the day.
Yeah.
But I'd recommend it for like,
But I mean, you're not gonna not if I wouldn't go in with it if you don't have a stencil on though. So I mean, if you haven't got anything stenciled yet, I don't think it's probably a good idea to do that and then stencil on there.
Oh yeah,
Do you do
definitely
it?
have to. No. I was agreeing.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Because then you got to alcohol the skin and do all that, and the alcohol is going to wipe away a lot of that lidocaine.
I feel like
So if you already have an in progress piece that you're going, I say your second plus sessions or like your end of your first sessions are probably like where it's gonna be good. They don't have to keep laying stencil down.
mhm.
But I feel like it's always been used on me, and the way I like to use it is fairly strategically, like not unless I know my client's going to have a lot of pain. I had a recent one that every time she'd come in, she'd do her entire side,
Mhm.
and it would wear off halfway into the tattoo, and then it'd be a lot of pain.
Yep, that's
But,
one of
like,
the things
she,
I
like-
talk
she,
to
like-
my clients about with
She
it.
wouldn't do it.
is-
She almost wouldn't come in without it, and she was really jumpy at first without it. So I was like, at least we can get us through like 3 solid hours before the jumping around and like a lot of pain sets in. So that was nice. But for most people, I'd say like near the end of sessions and stuff where you can actually like let it sit in an upper area or
Yep.
somewhere while you're working in a lower area, and then come back to that. And then maybe if you got to go back to somewhere else, you can let it sit and just
Mhm.
kind of plan on it throughout the tattoo. And
Yeah.
so
You know what?
any
Any tattooers that happen to be listening, if you want real advice on how to use any numbing stuff, I have used it a lot on my clients, and I have used it a lot. I've really experimented a lot with different numbing things on myself for different parts of my collection. If you have any serious questions, I would love to answer them for you, but like we're kind of getting into the technical side of like how to apply this stuff. But like artists, DM me, because I would love to like give you the pros and cons and like the when to use what products, when, how long they last. Because I've both experienced it on myself and I work with them. But like, I'm definitely opening that invitation up. Like we talk about it all the time. If you have specific questions, please reach out. Like I would love to educate every tattooer on helping your clients with pain management. Like we can educate your clients on the products that work the best that they can pick up before their appointment. But I would love to help educate any curious tattooer on how to handle your clients like pain threshold better. Because like
anything that can make it
the less
easier.
exhausted that a client is throughout the day, the easier your job is. Like the less a client like jerks and squirms, the less hard you have to work to stretch the skin and get those clean lines in there. So making the more comfortable your client is has a direct effect on how easy your day is. So anybody that has specific questions on any numbing products, please, like, I don't want to offer up your inbox to be flooded, but like hit me up. I'll answer any questions anytime, whether it's like this week, a month from now, whenever you happen to see this video. But I would love to answer any of those questions specifically.
I say the best place probably to hit up the tattoo collecting Instagram, tattoo collecting 101, but Fawn as well.
Yep. Hit us up. I would love to like talk about those things in detail, but there are a lot of things that is really like for your artist to know how to use them appropriately. As a collector, like Jordan was saying, if you just show up pre-numbed and your artist isn't prepared for you might have just made your artist's day so much harder.
And I think when you're running tons of lines, fresh lines, I think it softens the skin a bit if you've just been sitting on there for 2 hours. And so you're risking, blowouts and things like that a lot easier.
Yep. And that's another thing is that there are different ways to handle the skin depending on which numbing products you're using. So I feel like Jordan and I could probably both answer a lot of those questions as well. We've both put ourselves through it as collectors here lately. Have you ever used any pre-numb, Mindy?
I have, yeah. I don't remember. Maybe Hush it was called or something.
I've tried that, yeah.
I feel like that one's definitely gotten better throughout the years.
Yeah, it's definitely worked for me, but then I feel like the minute it wears off, it's like, oh, there it is. It's like worse, So I don't know. I think for like some tough areas, it's cool, but
yeah,
that's
I've tried Hush before.
Best friend, really,
Oh yeah, we advocate heavy Bactine use.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just fill a cup of it up. I dip in that like I dip in my water.
Love the pre-numbs.
But yeah,
Love
you said you had to go in like 10 minutes. It's almost like 15 minutes later now.
Yeah, I know I do. I got to get this cat in a carrier. I don't know how long that's going to take.
Aw.
Do you
Yeah,
want to
we'll let
share
you
any
go here.
information for people to potentially reach out to you if they have any questions, or maybe Michelle's information?
Yeah, Michelle Wortman at I don't know, her Instagram, and it's just
Yeah,
Michelle.
it's Michelle Wortman.
And then her Bloom project, be looking out for the book. I'm hoping within the next year. I know it got delayed because of COVID, and she's working hard on it. She's got a lot of stuff to go through, but soon that will be coming out. And let's see, I don't know. I'm a hairdresser, but I'm not really taking new clients right now because I'm booked and have
That's
my hands
awesome. That's
filled.
awesome. Good
So-
problem to have.
Yeah, it is a good problem to have, and it's good to be like, you can kind of be picky and
Yeah,
have
not a
to-
problem at all.
yeah.
Anyway,
So yeah, but I really want to thank you guys for having me on today.
Oh,
thank you
thanks
for joining us.
us.
Yeah,
Thank
especially
you
short
so much.
notice. That was awesome.
Yep.
Time, right?
Cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Please come back sometime. I knew it would be a good conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anytime.
if Phil gets a chance too, we'd love to talk to Phil too.
Oh yeah,
Even if both of you want to jump on sometime, or just you, or just him.
that sounds
Or-
good.
All of that.
If you happen to be off Thursdays and you could just go and like bombard him at the shop and we could sneak a shop
Right.
visit.
Right.
I definitely want to start incorporating shop visits on the show once traveling and COVID is a little bit less of a concern. Like we keep talking about the hypothetical road trip in the van, but it's going to happen. We need that shop interaction more.
I agree.
But
well, sweet. Thank you, Mindy.
all right. Thanks, Mindy. We'll
Hey,
talk to you soon.
Bye.
bye.
Oh, cool. I'm so appreciative that she came on.
Yeah.
I'm glad she was able to.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was great. I love
She's
her
so much
collection.
fun.
Michelle's work's really awesome.
The last
Now,
time,
has Guy worked on her? I don't remember what she said.
I
Or
think
is it all primarily his work or her work? I mean,
I think it's pretty much all Michelle's work. I'm sure Guy's jumped on, a little bit. He'll get it on some of the projects here and there.
okay.
But Guy's always like in teacher mode.
Yeah.
So
Great.
always new tricks. But the last, it seems like it wasn't that long ago, but it's been a couple of years since I actually like hung out with Mindy and Phil in person, and that was for Nathan and Nicole's wedding. We
Okay.
all like, hung out at the wedding, and then afterwards we went to the bar. And
How long ago was that? A couple years.
2 years ago, maybe.
No. We need to get
We
down
need
to
the
Hollow Earth.
travels.
We need to go down to Hollow Earth. Maybe we should hit one of them up. Nathan's literally got a giant guy beast too on his back. I'd
Yeah,
love to sit
he's got the
next to him.
guy an Adam piece.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Maybe we could just go bombard Hollow
Nathan,
Earth
we're coming
because
for you.
Rusty has a guy throat piece.
Nathan and Rusty.
Nathan and Rusty.
We're coming.
There was a time when Rusty did bio work too.
Oh, packages delivered. I forgot.
Oh, nice.
Alexa tells me.
Nice.
That's what that is.
But there was a time before Rusty was doing the realistic black and gray that he was doing a little bit of bio work. So he's got the bio inspiration.
Yeah, let's hit them up and go
Um,
out there sometime. Maybe we can come to them, or maybe they can come to us.
I mean, they're super close. It takes us like a half hour to set up. I bet we could go make a visit
I would
maybe
love to
early
do
in
a
the
little.
day.
Well,
We need to get on that.
yeah, we'll go show off Hollow Earth.
Yes. That'd be
Oh,
rad.
we haven't seen it yet.
Mm-mm.
So close, and we haven't been there.
COVID,
Sorry,
man.
guys. COVID. We're busy.
We mind our business.
So busy. So busy.
We mind our business and smoke about
we mind
Sorry.
our business.
We had time to visit, but we were smoking blunts instead.
It is funny how honestly busy we are.
I mean, we stay incredibly busy, but I feel like I can't speak for you, but like I love the projects that I'm working on so much that like I just came off of a 9-day stretch with no days off, which is a pretty long stretch for me
9 days,
nowadays.
no days.
Yeah, well, because I snuck off to Florida, so I had to like spread some appointments apart. and,
Oh,
but anyways, like in the past, I really would have been dreading that and dreading how like mentally exhausted I was going to be after like that many people without any days of rest in between. Like usually 5 or 6 days, I need a day to recover or 2 days to recover and like kind of get my me back.
you just jumped right back in.
Yeah, so I just like tattooed away. But each and every project I'm so like in love with that I don't want to say it doesn't feel like work, but it really doesn't feel like work. Like my body tells me when it's time to like, all right, we got to wrap this
I
up.
feel that
need
all your
rest.
projects are canvases. I mean, they're all just big paintings.
I love
Like
it.
that really was what they look
Everybody's
like.
just
It just
trusting me
looks
to
like
paint on
looks
them.
like so much fun to jump into. You've really restricted, the projects you've been taking on,
Mhm.
and how you only take on a few a month. I feel like it's put you in this place where you're only tattooing
It's really
what you
nice.
want, but like people are coming to you for exactly that, and so
Mhm.
you're able to spend the time you want in those projects.
Well, I do have a manager now who
I can
like,
definitely agree with
helps
that. All my
sort through
clientele, I
everything.
absolutely love my projects.
Yeah.
But I see yours, and the nature of those is a little different than the nature of mine. Mine are a little bit more like robotic and technical, and kind of take like tediousness to get through for most of the geo
Yeah,
stuff.
but
And
you're
yours
growing,
is like,
you're growing
you know,
robot legs,
you
and
can
I'm
get through the entire thing with the mag pretty much, and you're
Yeah.
just kind of whizzing like a filbert paintbrush. And I'm like, oh, so jealous. Not jealous, but I'm just like, God, I just love that. It's so awesome. I love those pieces.
they look so crazy.
My
sometimes in the
bioorganic
middle.
pieces are like that, and that's where I feel that freedom to be just
Mhm.
totally free with my mag. It's like a paintbrush.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the things I've been chasing my whole career. Like I always wanted to be able to tattoo as well as I paint, but all along, all throughout, like as long as I've been chasing that goal, I've become a better painter. So there, it's like I'm always chasing myself. Like in one medium, I'm chasing myself in another.
Yeah.
So and it's really nice to realize that that's the place that I'm in, because I'm not necessarily chasing other tattooers anymore. I'm not necessarily looking at like the black and gray artists that I look up to and like emulating their work. I'm not looking up to Russ Abbott and trying to emulate his work. I'm not looking up to like Adam and Guy and trying to emulate their work, or Ty. It's like I'm really actually emulating the work that's coming out of me with a paintbrush. And the more clients I have that let me play with these like crazy geometric ideas with like maybe a little bit of outer space, or like maybe some bio hooks.
And it's the same things you'd put in a canvas, but
Mhm.
like, people are, see, I totally see when you have that sort of vision in something, to me, that's when the endorphins are really rushing.
I love when I can have a consultation with a brand new client who I've never met before. And I can, like, as we're brainstorming, I don't even need to pull up references. I can actually like point to paintings on the wall or pull up pictures of paintings that I have in progress and be like, okay, well, what if we did a combination of like this daydreamy nature scene with this icosahedron, and then we could pull in a pentagram to represent this, or a pentagon to represent this or that. Or like we can pull in like malachite, like instead of doing like random fractal shapes, let's do like malachite fractals, and then we can pull all of these like geology elements that I'm kind of like visually obsessed with. And it's just like, instead of having flash around my room, I've got all these little elements that I can just be like, what if we combined this with that painting over there? Have you noticed that I do that?
I don't know if I necessarily noticed that, but I mean, I feel like your work is definitely reflecting like your painting.
It's nice to have that freedom, and it definitely took like, and now that I have a manager that basically kind of like filters through my emails and does all of my correspondence and stuff for me up to our consultation, like she has a list of like the kind of work that I want to do more of and the kind of work that I want to evolve into. So when people hit me up with ideas that like aren't like down that specific rabbit hole, or aren't of like the goals that I'm currently chasing, then we've got so many good artists around us that like charge roughly the same price. So let's send you to like, oh, you want a black and gray portrait? I know 6 years ago I was doing black and gray portraits all the time and I was really proud of them, but like right now I'm exploring this color imaginary stuff. It's kind of like the opposite, but this guy's awesome. Dante's who I recommend, by the way.
Yeah.
His
Dante's
black and gray
great.
portraiture. I mean, we were just talking about Rusty. His black and gray work is beautiful. But the thing I like about Dante's work, like in particular, is I feel like he looks at black and he approaches like these deep, bold shapes. And like he just puts black in where it needs to go. And like he's just very bold about how he works. And I feel like his end result is more similar to my black and gray than I think anybody else I can think of. So it's really cool that he's in the same building as us. And he's like, hasn't been tattooing that long. He's only been tattooing for like 4 years, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And like, he's like equally as good, or I'm going to be real honest and say better than me at the black and gray work that he does. So it's really easy to like, I've had a few clients now who have gone to him and like, they'll stop in and talk to me on their way out, or they'll message me a few days later and like, thank me for sending them to him. So it's, you know, it's one of those things where like, I'm trying to concentrate on such a specific nuance of like painterly work that, you know, there are so many people that are hitting me up that I might have worked on in the past and done like super realistic things, or, you know, maybe lettering where like I don't really do lettering anymore. But it's nice to have like a family of really good artists around us where like no matter what you want, you're going to get directed to the right person. Like if I'm not the right person, if that's not what I'm into right now, I can direct you to the right person. And I think one of the cool things is like about Columbus in particular, I think a large majority of the scene is like that. Like, I feel like, did you feel like that in Grand Rapids, or do you think that's kind of special to Columbus? The way that we're kind of, it's okay to share clients and, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely wasn't as much of an open scene. And I mean, I was definitely directing people. If I thought someone else, you know, was good at something, I would definitely send them off to them. But I didn't know a ton of artists that were like really awesome in a ton of different ways. So it would just, the community's not as big and it's just not as deep in Grand Rapids. Like I, you know, 10 years worked there and only knew a handful of artists out there.
I mean, the scene is totally different up in Michigan. I mean, in Ohio.
And there's probably only like 5 people that I would ever like recommend for different things, but like they were still pretty niche places that
I don't know. We just have such a big tattoo scene here. I bet, you know,
it's way different. It's way different. I mean, after living in Grand Rapids my whole life and working there, coming to Columbus, I do work at Red Tree though. So, I mean, there's that. I mean, it's definitely like instantly immersed, you know, in a lot more in general.
Everything at our
so, I mean,
fingertips.
that might have changed that perspective as well, you know, a little bit more. So if I would be at a different shop, it might be a little bit different.
Yeah, it just seems like in like some of the smaller towns, like outside of Columbus, and when I'm up in Michigan, usually I'm in much smaller towns when I'm in Michigan, but the scene's just so different. Like the way artists interact with one another is different, and the way people collect is different. You know, where in Columbus, you could be standing in line for checkout and like look, and you'll see more people with sleeves than without.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that? Like,
yeah.
I feel like there's not another city I've been in that has more like tattoo covered people than Columbus.
Yeah, I could say that. I'd say my first year and my first summer here was COVID happened. So everyone was fairly inside throughout the summer. I didn't see very many naked people. Very many people without shirts and clothes on.
I don't know. Maybe it's just in my head though, because we only see tattooed
Grand Rapids
people.
is hipster town too, so I mean, like everyone is kind of like tattooed there. So I mean, that's not like, you know, there's a lot of tattooed people, just not a lot of culture. You know, everyone would be all traditional tattoos.
Yeah.
Not that is anything different. It was just like that's like pretty much primarily like the tattoos that are done in Grand Rapids.
To be
clear, I was like one of the only geometric artists that I knew. There was a couple other people that are working like that.
To be clear and fair, like,
I have no idea what's going on there now. I mean, there's tons
Grand
of awesome
Rapids
artists there.
Has a lot of culture, but not necessarily the tattoo scene. I think the scene's just too little.
It's growing though. It's growing. It's growing, because I don't want to dog on it too much, because it was I didn't leave it because it was dead or anything like that. Like it's getting good there.
Jordan, we both have roots in Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
Of course you're not dogging it. It's okay.
Yeah.
We're just being real. Like to come from like suburb of this city to Columbus, you know, and the thing that brought me to Columbus was I worked at Victoria's Secret of all things. So I just transferred to one of the stores. I transferred from Holland to one of the stores at Easton. So that's what kind of like got my feet wet in Columbus. And at that time, I wasn't even considering tattooing. I was like, retail. I was trying to climb the retail ladder, and
I didn't know that's where it started.
Yeah. Yep. So I had a few different traveling retail positions with a couple other companies. But once I started tattooing, like I like just kind of ended up back in Columbus. It just didn't take time at all. I mean, Marion, the town I lived in, was only an hour away, but it didn't take any time at all for like people in Columbus to hear my name and start calling me, and, you know, word just spread. And then Columbus has been super good to me. Derb and I were just talking about this the other day. You know, we were talking about how, you know, he loves that Brandon and Keith, what they've done with their rooms. And he's like, I feel like after putting all of that time and money into changing their rooms, I feel like they're in it for the long haul. And, you know, we were talking about just casually, and I was like, you know, Jordan talks about like hypothetically moving out west after a few years, but I could see him travel. I was like, but honestly, like Columbus has been so good to me. Like it has just, this city
All right.
And we're back.
Oh, damn. That was loud.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry.
I was
It's all
eating the mic.
That's all right. But my computer blue screened, the blue screen of death. And
Blue
that,
screen of death.
if anyone who has a computer understands what the blue screen of death is, it's not a good sign for my poor young baby computer.
Was it just a blue
It's not a
screen
baby.
of death?
This is a tank of a computer. I don't understand why it was just blue screened, but it's just had like the third time it's happened, so I don't know.
Oh,
It doesn't.
Hmm.
It's not a permanent error. There's something going on in there that can be fixed, but
Hmm.
I'm gonna have to do some searching, and I don't know exactly what it means. So, if any computer people who know anything about computers out there, I don't know, shoot me a message.
I feel like every
We'll
episode
be
we
all right.
have at least one glitch from the technology demons. It's like they're just baiting us to see how patient we can stay. That's all it is. Like we were talking about how like tattoo sessions humble you. Sometimes this technology
demons.
humbles us. Like all the tools are at our fingertips, but there's always going to
But
be
you
like
know what? You know where it
one
ends up?
setting off, or you know what I mean?
There ends up being something wonderful because we learn so much, and you're forced to learn it. You put it in the frying pan, and you fucking learn it. I feel like that's what it is.
Yeah.
Technology demons, they put you in the spot, but they put you in the spot so you have to figure out what's wrong when you problem solve like that on the
Mhm.
spot. Then you remember that problem so much more, and you know how to fix it in a panic situation, not just like normally in your head you read in the book, you put in the situation.
It's a lot of pressure and like a pressure to keep cool under pressure.
Yeah, right. Let's carry the conversation on while there's 5 things happening that are totally wrong. I love it though. I don't know. I think that's why this is all a lot of fun.
I don't know. It is cool. We're far enough in now. This is our 27th episode, Jordan.
27th.
We're far enough in now that it like everybody said that we'll be able to go back to our first few episodes and it'll be like totally different. And it is like we went from like no video because we wanted to learn audio first.
We did, went from uploading them to having them live. That changed things a little bit. I feel like changed the vibe a little bit, but all for the best.
Yeah. When
we just
I don't know whether it was Gabe or Guy that recommended that we just start doing it live just to save ourselves like the editing time and things like that after the fact.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But that was kind of a game changer.
But getting your tattoos done is what I feel like. It was either your tattoo or my tattoo. I feel like that's what gave us the opportunity to bring it up to Guy. And Guy was like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it's because we whipped out our tiny microphone.
We didn't even know about his app then, remember? Like he was like, oh yeah, I got this app.
It was still in beta.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even like
I could see him tapping
yet.
his fingers as soon as we said podcast.
He was like,
away.
Really?
Right.
And this like, kind of way where he's like looking down and through his glasses at the same time.
Exactly.
When you get that look and his eyebrows come up, his brain's moving so fast. But I think it's been a great leap. I feel like
Gabe, Lauren, Sandy.
Oh yeah, I'm incredibly grateful. I think taking the leap, I feel like it was a little early than like what we were ready for. We like our equipment wasn't there yet. We're still learning how to run it, but the improvement.
Yeah.
The improvement, like
they're getting
little
better.
by little.
2 steps forward, 1 step back. It seems like, sometimes it's like 4 or 5 steps forward. I think that happened with the camera, but then there's a few steps back. And now that we have the cameras, using them properly, and that's where we're moving into a little bit more.
Yeah, the technology demons are still with us, but they don't have as much control as they used to.
I think we need an assistant to switch back and forth every time we talk. I love it. I love that we have this though, but it's taken a lot to get here.
We keep joking about the animals being our producers, but we like really need like a producer homie to sit and like push buttons and do the things and like,
right.
But we'll get there.
Have you guys ever worked in OBS at all? They have some kind of automated
I do use
transitions.
OBS. The thing that would make it hard for me to figure out how to use OBS would be I'd have to put 3 HDMIs or 3 or 4 HDMIs into my computer, and my monitors are already running like 5 HDMIs running into my computers from monitor situations. So I'm not sure if I could get like another little HDMI thing that I could plug
some
into
of those
it.
automated scene transitions, so you can kind of set up a schedule type thing.
I bet on this box, we were talking about it before we went live earlier with this piece of technology that we have.
That would be so nice.
I bet there is a setting on there that will automatically switch, but it's like we learn a little bit at a time with this thing.
Yeah, we introduce them so quick that we just because every week, probably only got a couple hours before our tattoo or before this stuff, a week to even.
So Lauren, since you're listening in and you're there, do you want to kind of introduce yourself a little bit?
Oh, geez. Yeah, I'm gonna keep
Put
my
you on
video
the
off for a
spot.
minute though. Just 1 second. Let me get that set up.
So how you just recently joined the reinventing team, right?
Yeah, I was
How did that come about?
gosh, it's so crazy. I met let's see, let me turn my video on a second. Here we go. I met Gabe through Litos, and Litos is a really close friend of mine. So I was with Empire Inks and I left in October, and kind of told Gabe a little background on what was going on. And him and Guy called me up and they're like, well, Lauren, I think we have a road for you to go down. And I was just completely beside myself.
That's so awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Well,
So, yeah.
welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been almost 3 months now.
Okay. I feel like it was just a few weeks ago that you jumped on to the podcast and we're like, whoa, who's this new person?
You're right.
Yeah. That was me. I wasn't really planning on doing like stuff like this, but it's totally up my alley because I did a lot of the VTG last year. Every single time that we did one, every month I was like dying with the tech issues. Unbelievable how hard that was to figure out how to get a Sony connected to Zoom and this and that and finding.
You're telling us.
Yeah, those literally are exact issues.
It's like, come on, these are top of the line. These are designed for what we're doing them for. They have to work. These were they gotta be right.
I'm using a webcam right now and it's sitting right next to a Sony, and I've got all the stuff. It'll work one day and it won't. It just
right. So you're using the webcam as opposed to the nice equipment you have.
Which Sony camera do you have?
a Sony A7 II is what I'm using.
What is that one? That might be what our big boy is. But we've got these two little guys that are called ZV1s, but they're designed specifically for like
Can you see that?
blogging and just streaming for hours on end.
Yeah. I got it all set up. So
A little more zoom for that. As close as we can get.
It's all right. It's all right.
It's all right.
but yeah, I'm also working with raw pigments. So that's another thing. I actually sent you some samples while you guys were casting.
Oh, nice.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
That's awesome.
I am always curious to try new inks out. I actually am like Starbright is my favorite ink, but like I've been recently, like over the past few years, like swapping out some of the colors with Eternal and Solid, and like, you know, I pride myself on at least trying several colors from all of the different, you know, ink makers available. So I've actually been really excited to get my hands on some of the raw pigments.
Yeah, I actually went on a limb yesterday and I spoke to David Heskin and Guy, and I'm going to send him some as well today. But I guess that's how confident I am because we source pigments as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of hand selected each pigment. Each formula is different for each color. Acrylic free, which is also nice because the brands you mentioned are all acrylic based.
I just love having the different options available. You know,
Yeah.
There are just some colors, like for instance, there are some like Starbright colors where like I like using the color straight out of the bottle, where like the Eternal equivalent might be better for mixing or vice versa.
Yeah, I've got some right here too. If you probably can't hear that, but it always stays wet. I mean, that's
Nice.
kind of sweet.
Doesn't get chunky at the bottom.
No.
Nice.
So yeah, super happy about that. You know, that's more of the full-time thing that I've got going on these days.
Okay. Very nice.
Nice. I'm always excited to try new stuff all the time.
What about you with tattoos, Lauren? You tattooed much?
Mainly just my arms right now. I had this thing in my head for the last several years until I spoke to my buddy Angel's Tattoo. It's like no more tattoos below the belt. And then I realized like that's a stupid thing to say. But yeah, just mainly I guess my arms, and can't really see too much.
Okay. All right. You got some work.
Excuse me.
Who all has worked on you?
Jared Glassburn, I guess, Eric Diaz, He Who Shall Not Be Named, Who Shall Also Not Be Named, Mike Randazzo, Kanai Zhang,
That's a really classy way to put that. I like it. I like it.
I dig it.
Yeah.
No plug for you.
Exactly.
No soup.
No soup
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear what your perspective on the numbing thing. I wish I would have known that when I was getting my hand tattooed, because it just deeply affected. I
What
guess you
what
can't
part
really
of
see it.
what part of it did you put it on early beforehand, the first session, or like
Yeah.
what?
Well, I mixed between Hush and Bactine, and it just made my skin almost some sort of weird substance that almost produced a bubble on my entire hand. It was
Really?
unreal.
Almost like waterlogged swimmer skin.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I don't suggest that.
I haven't used
Talk
Hush
to your.
myself.
I think you should talk to your artist first too, and just to see what they think.
Yeah.
Always just to see what they think. If you're questionable about it, definitely had plenty of people gung ho about just jumping into it before they talk to me because they seen an ad on the internet, and then it's just like, oh man, you have to reschedule.
I do kind of insist on using prenums that I have experienced myself, because then I know what their body feels like. I know what it feels like different durations throughout the tattoo. I probably know what it feels like on like tissueier areas versus bony areas. If it's not a product that I've tried, then I have no way to gauge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like when they're all made out of such different things, and they work differently and they absorb into the skin differently. Some are just straight like canes, like I guess nerve blockers. I don't know if that's the right, like just a straight anesthetic. That's
Yeah.
the word I'm looking for. Some are straight
Straight
anesthetics. Others are vasoconstrictors. And then that changes the skin so much, where like it might not change the skin while you're working on it, but it's going to change like how much oxygen those skin cells are getting.
Yeah, just in general, I mean, not speaking from truth, but only from like experience and what I can imagine, but having all your blood circulation reduced to like a minimum in an area doesn't seem healthy for skin.
Like, yeah, the skin is alive, but barely.
Like it might help for like the pain and things like that, and maybe if you want to take away redness for a tattoo, but it's just you need oxygen. Seems like constricting that might not be the best thing.
Yeah, your cells need oxygen.
But I also love vasoconstrictors as a tattoo artist because I like it when the redness goes away.
If you
And
had to
it
choose
does,
between Vasocaine and Bactine Max, what would you go with to help through a session?
Me?
Yeah.
Bactine Max.
Good
Oh,
call.
always.
I agree.
The Bactine is a friend of mine as well.
Love Bactine. I don't use Vasocaine anymore. I used to use that a lot, but it's also $50 a bottle, and I get twice as much out of Bactine, and it pretty much works, or twice as much. I get twice as much liquid for literally a fraction
Mhm.
of the cost, and it works just as good. It's not necessarily a vasoconstrictor, but it will take away the redness just as much as you want it to. You don't really need much more than that. Otherwise, it almost looks weird. Your tattoo looks strange because it's all the skin around it will be super raised, and then the tattoo would just be like perfectly flat on there.
So COVID has changed the way I use Bactine. So if you've ever been worked on with Bactine, like your artist has used Bactine in like a heavy tattooed area where a lot of skin is broken and open, you know how it like burns at first?
Yeah.
Well, before we had to wear masks, I would just lightly blow on my client as I worked on them. So like I'd like wipe with the Bactine and just like softly blow, like as if I were whistling, just like blow on it super softly so that it would like immediately cool off
Any
that
sort
burn.
of wind will do that.
Yeah,
I
but
usually
now,
just fan them.
yeah, now I have to use a paper towel. I can't blow on my clients anymore because we have masks. And it's funny because some of my clients have been like, it seems like it hurts more now. It's like, it's because I can't blow on you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I always fan them off. I'll usually just be like, it feels better if you fan it, and I'll give it to them.
See, I baby my clients too much. That's what it
but
is.
I'm usually like, no, for real, it'll feel a lot better.
How
So
do you
there,
guys
do
handle
that.
the environmental like aspect of calming your clients? The outward experience to calm.
At Red Tree, we're really spoiled. We've got a nice stereo that plays in the hallways, and then we've got TVs in each of our rooms. So we've got like, we can put on any series
I
or
think
movie
TV
to watch.
is probably one of the biggest ones. I almost always throw my TV on just because I like having it on in the background.
Mhm.
But so they always got something stimulating to keep their eyes on. I think that's one of the big ones for me when I'm getting tattooed, is like having something to stimulate my mind. The more I stare into nothingness, the longer it feels like the tattoo is. So the more I can just stimulate my mind.
There's such a fun ebb and
But
flow
not
at Red Tree
everybody-
too.
not
Like
everyone feels that way.
there's a delightful amount of distractions with other artwork and projects and people coming and going. Like we all have our own private spaces, but you still see
The
projects
windows
in the
are
hallway.
open to each other. We can still talk to each other.
I've been there once. I think it was, like I said, 2015 or something. They had someone laying on the floor doing tabori, which is super unique and memorable.
Oh,
I
you
forget-
were at the old Red Tree location then.
Oh,
with the
okay.
beautiful wooden floors.
Who was doing?
They were. Gosh, I can't even remember. It's been so long.
Do you guys have a guest artist? or
Derb would know.
something?
That's when
Someone actually
Adam
doing it?
got the leaf on his knee. He got a red maple leaf on his knee.
With Taburi.
Yeah, I can't remember for sure which Tabori
Madman.
artist it was now.
A madman.
What, that
I'm gonna
you didn't
touch
have
this.
a Tabori? Touch the plasma ball. Get
Yeah.
it, shake it off.
It hurt.
I don't know. I don't know if you guys could shed light on this, but some of the artists that I've spoken to, like there's someone in Hawaii that does tabori, and he speaks about how the colors they reveal themselves better over time with that method.
So this is actually something that I really like to talk about with people because I feel like my philosophy is a little bit opposite of a
Mhm.
lot of artists in the industry. But like I feel like the magic of it is with when like any kind of like controlled hand poke situation, the needle is, you know, they're masters. By the time they're working on people like us, they're masters at their craft. But like I feel like because the needle is moving more slowly,
Mhm.
each time that needle enters the skin, it can leave more ink, more like actual solid pigment behind. So that's why like at first they might not seem super saturated, but when you see them 2 years later, once those solid pigments have dispersed just a little
Yeah.
bit under the skin, I think that's why it looks so bright and brilliant and saturated, because there's fewer penetrations to the skin, but with each penetration, more ink is deposited. So like with that in mind, I actually run my machine. Like I work with rotaries that are
Mhm.
little jackhammers, but like I run them incredibly slow. So like I really have a lot of control over how close together those dots of ink are and then how they're then going to like blend with one another over the next few months.
I don't have any experience with Taburi, so I personally don't know how that would heal differently. But
Yeah, but I think that's why this stuff gets brighter and more saturated with time. I think it's because it goes into the skin more slowly.
That makes sense.
definitely makes sense.
But
'Cause I
like
haven't
the
used it, I
opposite
don't
school
totally.
of thought
I
is
feel like it might help me might help you if you were to do Taburi, it would help you slow down your actual tattoo machine to really figure out just how many pokes you really need to get to saturate and to see.
so
what
there
you
is
need
an
to do.
opposite school of thought, and the opposite school of thought, and this I think is a little bit more mainstream. But the other way of looking at it is the quicker that needle moves, the less trauma it causes each time it penetrates the skin. So less
Okay.
trauma or ink deposit, what's more important? And that's where I think like you got to find the happy medium where there's like just the sweet spot and the maximum amount of ink being deposited, but like most efficiently pain and time wise.
Mhm.
But
No, that's pretty interesting response.
there's two different ways of thinking about it. But like I feel like if I'm doing black and gray, my speed's gonna be a little bit faster all the way around just because I want it to be softer. I'm not going for that like extreme saturation like I am with my color work. Like with my color work, I want it to be wall to wall ink. With my black and gray, I want the skin. Like I think the skin itself is beautiful and important. So I don't want to lose it by oversaturating.
Yeah. It just depends on the project for me, for sure. Line work, I like to slow my needle down. I like to just like watch every injection, almost, where I can slow it down enough to where I'm not running my line slow, but it's, I don't know, some people turn it way up, just like you're saying, and just have them run fast but 5.5 volts, man, I'm pounding lines in as fast as I really want to move my hand really well with my Zion.
Yep.
What do you normally run yours at when you're like, how slow are you talking, Fawn?
Like between 3-ish.
Oh, geez.
You're even lower than that.
Yeah, like 3 volts. Right now I've got a wireless battery pack that I'm using, and it's got like incremental settings that are supposed to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 volts all the way on up.
I don't think mine.
And I'm always on my second and third setting. I'm always on my second and third setting. I bounce between those.
Wow.
If I'm doing something that's like soft black and gray, I'll put it on the 4th setting. But
what are you
like,
talking about with how fast are you when it's fast?
fast?
Like when you're talking about like the opposite school of thought, where
I
you're
haven't-
running fast.
I haven't worked more than 6.5 volts since I was working with coil machines.
Yeah.
Like
I
I liked my coil machines to run like soft and quiet, and I could get the ink in just as efficiently. I bounced back and forth between coil and rotary for a while. But like I've always run them pretty slow. And I mean, you see how like quickly I saturate. Like, I mean, my projects are huge and take forever, but like that being said, when I can get an entire full color sleeve done, fully saturated wall to wall in 5 sessions, that's pretty fast.
Yeah.
How are you with like, I guess going back into projects when you see like, I don't know if that happens often, where it's just good to go, or do you have to find yourself, I guess, going back in more often?
Usually when I'm going back in, it's a deliberate going back in. Like I've laid like the underpainting, and now I'm saturating, and then the very final layer is like my darkest black lines and then my bright white highlights. So like in my head, I'm kind of approaching it like a painter would through those like 3 or 4 steps of the process.
Yeah.
And then I find when I approach it that way, I'm usually very happy with it when I see it like maybe a year later, if I'm working on another body part and I get to see it heal. Like,
I love layering. That's just my favorite. If I have an opportunity to, or if a client wants to come in for some more, layer the colors on there. With bio work, it's like you can almost just endlessly, there comes a point where the skin just does get tough and stuff, and you just want to call it quits. But it's also, if you can get another layer on a healed layer, like I just feel even better about it. Just like glazing a painting.
Yep.
How do you guys feel about like, say, like a brand new client versus a collector walking in, for expectations?
So a lot of times my newer clients have the ideas that are more on track with like my newer current ideas. And I love that because I'm excited to like dive down other dimensional projects. And I'm like those things are just like super exciting to me right now. But on the flip side, when I'm working on somebody that like, say I've been working on him for like 8 or 9 years, I've done a couple of sleeves on him. He's got projects from me that are different styles. Like by that point, we know each other so well that it's like hanging out with a friend for the day. So, sometimes the projects on some of my longtime clients are nothing like the current work that I'm like trying to push. However, like I'm still so invested in this client and his overall collection or her overall collection that like it's just as exciting and as important to me, like for the overall.
What would you say, like both of you guys, I'm curious, just, talking, do you have more clients that return, or do you think you have more of, new clients?
I'd say I definitely got a mix of both. I think, most of my clients are return clients. For sure. So almost everyone I tattoo is going to come back to me for their tattoo. It's almost rare that I just get done with a tattoo in just one full pass. Usually there's another pass on it, or there's still like, we got to do all the dot work in it, or we got to do all the just the fill work on something and just get like an outline done, because the outline was just it was like a sleeve or huge piece that took quite a few hours. And so lots of return clients.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't really been tattooing a super long time in the grand scheme of things. It'll be 12 years this year, I think. Maybe. I have to do the math again. Maybe 13. It'll be 13 years this year. That's nuts.
When did you start?
I can't believe I've been tattooing
2008.
for 10 years now.
Okay.
December of 2008.
When did you graduate?
2003.
Okay. So a little bit after high school, 5 years.
Yeah, I actually had a whole retail career for a short period of time before, like between
Yeah.
art school and becoming a tattooer. So
Where'd you go to art school?
I went to CCS in Detroit, the
Sweet.
College for Creative Studies. I've only got a year under my belt. I would have loved to have had more, but Republicans. So long story short, we moved back to Ohio and I ended up in Columbus, all the way it was supposed to happen.
Columbus it's like, you guys had, like you were saying a little bit before on the podcast, like it kind of reminds me of like Richmond, sometimes maybe even Denver for like the scene. You guys have a lot of good artists, a lot of talent, a lot of good art in Columbus. Like it's kind of like a hub for the Midwest, I'd say. I've actually heard someone say it's like Austin of the Midwest.
Well, I mean, we're like a 6-hour drive from everywhere.
Yeah.
Where we are kind of like
We're like
a very
halfway
a
between.
blue city and a red state.
That's fair. That's a fair way to put it.
It actually sums it up pretty much.
Yeah.
Right, like Austin.
No, I really love the diversity of Columbus. You know, I'm not going to say I've lived in a lot of cities, but I went to art school in Detroit and, you know, I grew up like in West Michigan, which is like the extreme opposite of Detroit.
And that's where I grew up.
So I feel like Columbus is a nice mix of both. You know, we've got nice shopping here. We've got a lot of culture and things to do if that's up your alley. There's a lot of nature really close by. That's a nice thing about Ohio. Like immediately where we are, there's not a lot, but if you go like a half hour any direction,
Right.
There's going to be a lot of state parks and cool natural places.
Not in Columbus though.
There's a few, but like if you grow up in Michigan
Right
and you
outside.
have like your own woods to
Spoiled.
grow up in
Yeah,
and like your
spoiled.
own like lakes and rivers,
Yeah.
some of these
Oh,
metro
yeah.
parks are not cutting it.
Yeah.
Like, can I get
grew
a
up.
non-sidewalk, please? Can I feel some dirt under my feet?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
No?
coming to Columbus was definitely, it was kind of hard for that. You know,
Where were you from again? In Michigan?
I was from Grand Rapids,
Oh, okay.
and
It's kind of across
grew
the
up on a house with horses and a barn and
Mhm.
40 acres and stuff. We weren't rich or anything, but you know, we had enough to.
he's like,
have
we
that
weren't
for our
rich,
family.
but we had horses and
No, I swear we definitely weren't rich. It's just, you know, generations. Huh?
definitely first world problems.
Right.
Yeah.
But that was at a time when things like that were it's just much cheaper and it was normal, you know,
Mhm.
just like a farm.
Yeah, I hear you. I was raised in
Through
the
those
mountains.
things is how money was made.
Where'd you grow up?
Virginia, actually, the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Okay. All
Mhm.
right. So you've done your share of barefoot running around too.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I always
Being
like
in the mountains. It's fun.
I like when I get out on trails and like you'll see like the hiker with his like heavy duty pack with his day pack strapped on the outside, his 2 hiking poles and his like hiking boots and his wool socks rolled down and his nerdy shorts and his hiking cap, and I'm in like cut off shorts. My flip-flops are in my hand and I'm holding like a sapling that I pulled out of the river as like a walking stick. Like
Yeah.
still is my jam, running around barefoot.
Yeah, you guys would be surprised
I don't
sometimes
trust
if
the
ever.
ground anymore.
Yeah, if you make it to Wisconsin, there's a lot of stuff. Trails and all that stuff, a lot of nature.
I've got a friend that's from Wisconsin, and I feel like a lot of her stories are super similar to like the terrain and stuff that I grew up playing in
Mhm.
Michigan. It's just that those beautiful rolling dunes from the lakes.
Mhm.
That's what it is. It's Lake Michigan. That's the magic. Lake Michigan made it all cool.
Right.
No, people drive across that. Like, I'm sure you guys know, but I mean, like if I wanted to drive across it, it'd save me so much time,
Mhm.
Right.
in the winter. Yeah.
I think there are there ferries that still go across from like Traverse City?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep. The only issue I encountered with that, I always wanted to do that when I'd go to like Wisconsin for like Villain Arts, would be it was going to cost just as much to like drive there or take a plane or something like that. So I just ended up
3
driving.
days to drive 60 miles.
Honestly, it just ends up being a big ordeal and just as expensive of a trip if you do
And
the ferry.
unpredictable.
This is why we
Yeah.
need personal aircrafts.
Oh man, my friend, his dad owns a jet company here in Appleton. I've thought about that too. Like
I
if we
really
wanted
wanna
to
get
take
my
a group,
pilot's license one day.
we should. If we took a group, it'd be like, so say we flew, from Milwaukee to like Austin, it'd be like maybe 15 grand for the whole group. So, I mean, it's not, I mean, it sounds a lot, but when you have maybe like 50 people
Right.
for those types of experience, I always thought it would be really cool for an organizer in the States to private fly in special guests.
All the more reason for me to get my pilot's license.
Yeah, that'd be so cool. My friend Tommy Kirschbaum, I'm not sure if you know him. He's getting his pilot license. He tattoos at in Marshfield, Wisconsin.
Nice.
It's just crazy to see him in the
I
sky.
would love that.
I would love it so much. Think of the freedom, just the feeling of freedom to be up there.
It's definitely one of my goals in my life is to get my pilot's license eventually.
You
What would
can
your
get.
plane look
I also
like?
want a paraglide.
So I've
Very
looked
good.
at Pipers. They have like 6-seaters, and I think that would be perfect. If I could take 4 to 6 people with me and just hop on it and go. They say that the hangar fees can get a little bit expensive depending on like what kind of municipal airport you're using to come and go and store your plane at. But like, I waste my money on dumber things.
Yeah, your plane though would look so cool. I don't know if you'd paint it or something
So,
wild.
I actually have a good friend who is like a very well-known custom boat painter. So he's done a lot of airplanes are also fiberglass and carbon fiber. So he's done a lot of like stunt planes as well.
Okay.
So if I had a plane, he'd be the first one.
Probably,
Be like,
I'd probably Geiger mine out.
Clayton, I need you to custom color this thing all over.
And I'll take you for a ride.
Man, what if I got an airplane and I painted it with like all reflective paint so that when people like looked up at me, they'd like wonder what was glitching and reflecting back.
Just
I
a
could be the
mirror.
UFO.
Just
They
be a
wouldn't know what
mirror
I was.
So no one could see you.
Do you think anyone's
that would be a great way to be invisible in the sky? Would just be a mirror. But at the same time, you might be like totally burning something down on the ground with the sun reflecting off
Right.
of it and like
Yeah.
magnifying
a
somewhere.
chrome eagle.
Right.
you like separate the earth,
Yeah, right. All,
An accidental
all birds
laser
that come in
beam.
the path of it just like sizzle in the sky.
Oh no.
Do you think that anyone's ever tattooed on a private jet?
Oh, definitely. With the
Yeah.
battery packs and stuff now. Joey Knuckles, he's a shop owner here in
even
Columbus. He
need
was one of our
that.
previous
Crazy.
guests. He and a buddy tattooed each other on a flight somewhere. They've tattooed each
No
other
way.
all over. Yeah. So with the little wireless battery packs, it's the sky's the limit, literally. You
Well,
can
the
get
question
tattooed
is,
on a cliff.
Who's going to be the first person to tattoo someone in space?
Jordan,
Me.
You?
let's go tattoo each other in space. Let's make friends with the
If
Russians
anyone
and
has
Chinese.
that opportunity, if you know anyone in space,
If you know
let me know.
anybody working on the base on the moon,
yeah, right.
give them our information.
I want to tattoo him on space. Right up in space.
Oh man, can you imagine? But hold on. What would the ink flow be like with limited gravity?
You might need to propel it in some small way.
How are we going to
'Cause
repel it
There wouldn't be gravity
or
because
propel it?
if you ever took your machine and tried to tattoo with it upside down, the ink doesn't go in, goes back out, but it wouldn't really move either way, just kind of float there. Maybe you could do some like taburi and like have like a bubble of ink and just like press it in.
I
to
feel like
someone.
that's what it would be
Just,
like. It'd have to
Fawn,
be like
hold
that,
bubble
Jordan.
down. And like
It'd
someone
be
would
a
have to
4-person process.
hold the little ink bubble down and do that.
Wow.
So even the liquid has to stay stable in some way because it
The
wouldn't just
thought.
naturally.
And then think, as soon as it hits the skin, it's going to disperse and spray. So now you've got all these little ink blood particles that are breathable and airborne.
If you need a space tattoo machine, a space age tattoo machine. So you need
Okay,
some
so it's going
sort
to
of-
have
it
a
needs a propeller.
pressurized ink hose pushing
Propellant.
right to like the very
Very
tip of the
thin.
needle, like the way an airbrush works. So it'd have to be like an airbrush that has a tattoo needle pushing through it.
That-
Next, we need a nice big like donut or like
And it
a
just
bell
it
jar,
would
like a bell jar
concentrate-
that went
instead of
over
going
it.
out like that, it would
And then a
concentrate
vacuum
in.
from the bell jar. So we just like scoot the bell. One person would have to stretch the skin. Another person would have to move the bell jar. And then the third person could tattoo inside of the bell jar with the vacuous pump attached to it.
Yes. And then one person in the background with a gong.
Okay, I think it's
Yep.
gonna have to be me, you, and Derb. Who's gonna be our victim?
Space tattoo machines.
Where-
Guys,
where-
I'll take it.
Okay.
I'll do it.
All right.
Yes.
Sold.
When we're able to tattoo in space, when
Tattoo
we're able
collabs
to
in
just
space.
travel to space, we're gonna do it, and we're gonna tattoo each other.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
I need to start inventing this
If I
device
see
right now.
opportunity, we gotta hit Elon Musk up.
We should hit Elon Musk up. We need to be like,
There's
we
only
want to
so many
do the
tattooers
first
out there.
space tattoos in a Tesla.
There's only so many tattooers.
What
out
if we get to do it in
That's
the
true.
first Tesla space
get-
van?
How many tattooers have asked him that?
Honestly, I bet none.
We could be the first.
We should do it. Sponsored by Raw Pigments,
You guys.
Tattoo armor.
the purest earth elements in space.
I wonder, wouldn't it be crazy if there was some sort of machine that could handle something like that? Just by talking about it, and there's maybe a machine maker watching, and they're like, "Hey,
I think I
Maybe I
have
could
the bell
adapt
jar
that.
at home. We could make this happen with.
I will.
I have a
will
tiny
invent
shop
this.
vac. We can make this happen. We're gonna make a space tattoo machine, guys.
what do you guys
Modif-
think is the most
modify-
innovative
you honestly
machine out
could
there?"
just modify on. You could modify a airbrush probably in some way. Get a
Honestly,
rotary
I was
motor on an
just
airbrush needle and then just have the airflow still.
doing some scribbly sketches of what I think will be the most innovative tattoo machine on the market.
Let's see.
All right, I'll show you. That's it. That's going to be the most innovative machine on the market.
Yes.
Direct drive, fits in the palm of your hand. No pen, but more like an Easter egg shape.
You just told everybody.
But
your
look,
idea.
I've just patented it.
I just patented it to y'all to
This is
take.
time stamped. I don't know what I'm going to call it though. But basically, I want to take all of the components that are already available and just make them smaller. I just feel like it can all be smaller. I think there's still a lot of wasted space in the tattoo machine. I'm totally happy with how they work. I just want that center of gravity. I want that weight to be in my hand instead of above my hand pulling on my wrist.
What
I
if
have
it was
prissy
like
wrists.
as thin as as thin as an Apple pencil, could be thicker, and then you got a little UFO grip where the rotary would go inside.
I don't know. I
Make
feel
it
like
nice and
something the
thin.
size of, smaller than your nectar collector, like something that size,
So what
Let's
about
see. Whoa.
what about
like something this big.
so what
That
about
should be the whole machine.
how would they for the audience, how would they differ from other pens?
It would be exactly the same. It would just be
Just
smaller.
So just continually get smaller.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
like the battery, the motor, that would all be one thing. And then I think the cartridge should be like a direct drive right to the motor. There's like a little cam, like there's a specific kind of motor and cam that I would have in mind, but there's no need for there to be a push bar. It should just make direct contact right with the cartridge tip itself, like the cartridge plunger. So anyways,
I like it.
that's my answer. I think it's me taking all the existing technology and making it in a smaller package.
You can do it.
Interesting.
But like,
we have the technology
I
to
feel
make
like
the technology.
I feel like I love everywhere that machines are right now. If you want a machine that you can adjust by just simply pressing a button and turning it, you can have that. If you want a machine that's cordless, you can have that. If you want a machine that's you're still running off of a cord and power supply, you can have that. If you want a cord that you can adjust the stroke, you can have that. Like everything is changeable. Like it's a matter of preference, but there's just so much on the market. I think the only innovation is to make it smaller and more ergonomic for the artist. Like the function is there, but I want to make it littler. And
How would you feel about like that Inkjecta, their new, I forget what that machine is called, versus saying like Blot Blot or machines like that? I'm just curious.
funny thing,
the Inkjectas are pretty tiny.
it's the
They look like a nugget.
if you put a battery pack on it, the battery pack is now in an awkward place. So if we were to take the Inkjecta, put the battery in a very comfortable location and eliminate the grip and just put the whole machine inside of a grip.
Okay.
That's my idea. It's just like basically taking that technology that's in the motor and just putting it inside of the grip itself. Tuck the battery in there too, and now you've got your whole machine is the size of what would be the grip.
Right. So essentially just like
Just a grip.
tight, just a nugget.
Just a little tiny
more of a
pipsqueak.
nugget, more of a nugget than other nugget style machines.
That's
Little
awesome.
nuggets.
I love that idea though. I think the smaller they can be, the better. Personally, what I want to see is definitely that. I want to see something that's like not this thin, but it has the opportunity to be this thin or be bigger with maybe
So
just like a
here's another
smaller
thing.
grip. So where like, you know, most things are just driving from smaller cams that don't exist.
So the Fall Harbor motors that I was talking about, do you remember when I was like, they're the same motors that are in drones? What?
Right.
So
the same
those
that
motors are getting smaller. So if you could find a motor that was approximately the diameter of that,
like
find a thinner, taller
Right near the
lithium
bottom
ion
there.
battery and just like make it the same diameter as a cartridge. So you would just put the cartridge in and that would be the same diameter all the way up. So it'd be a little bit thicker than an Apple Pencil, but like that's a magic idea too. How long would a smaller battery like that last? But then again, if they're smaller, would they be less expensive where you could just have two of them and swap them out? Almost like disposable machines. Use it till you wear it out. Once the battery starts going, just order another one for $100.
Right.
What do you think about that?
Or, you know, even, you know, if the battery themselves were smaller and cheaper. So it was like, you know, almost like vape batteries that you could put on there.
Yeah.
Smaller lithium.
Well, and look at the vape power supplies. You can dial those things and do so many crazy things with the vape power supplies. If
I
we
think
were to
it's-
like innovate some of that technology into the power supply for our machines, like the technology is on the market to Frankenstein some cool stuff together.
Right.
It'd be wild if they were, I guess, not reusable, rechargeable, something that could recharge itself.
Ooh, if you were to put like a little kinetic trip in there where it like recharges like a Rolex, that's an idea.
Perpetual
Ooh,
energy.
If I had a
I think
perpetual
that's- I
tattoo
think
machine,
that's
I might
the
actually
goal of
pay $1,000
everybody.
for that.
Yeah.
I think we all want perpetual everything.
Perpetual
If
everything.
there's anything we can have perpetual. Like,
That's actually a really good idea.
who has
Like
perpetual
if you had,
energy?
Rolex
Rolex does.
yeah, a lot of
They've created
watchmakers.
perpetual energy.
Yeah.
It just charges itself.
Yeah. Mhm.
With what?
Flick of the wrist.
Oh.
It's pretty amazing.
So once in a while you get, yeah, I guess that's cool though. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
but there's like this little like counterbalanced weight that just the slightest motion makes it start spinning really fast. And you know how alternator works when you get
Mhm.
that motion spinning with
So
the
in another
copper
tattoo,
around
you can
it.
just like, you should put little shakers in there at least. So like,
That's what it would be like.
and you could just sit and shake it, you know, break time, you know, we just make music.
But
Well,
it'd
I
have
mean,
to
you could
have
tattoo anywhere.
it'd have to have the power
Right,
to
and then you can
actually
get
like
down
push
before
the
you do it.
needle too. So that's the catch, is it couldn't be just any motor. It'd have to be a strong enough motor and a strong enough battery. But I have this client who's working on new battery technology. Did I tell you about this chemistry nerd that I just started a project on?
Oh yeah,
Sounds
I
convenient.
think I've heard about
Yeah,
this.
yeah. Like I feel like I might need to give him a call and be like, where are you at with this new battery idea that you're working on? He's trying to come up with basically a way around using lithium, because lithium is pretty hard to source and it's not always ethically sourced. So if they can change the compounds, then they'll be cheaper to make. However, the compound they're working with isn't as stable as lithium. So he's like experimenting with different ways to stabilize it. And that if he's successful, that'll change batteries like altogether. Get more power out of a smaller cell.
Yeah, sounds like a pretty big invention.
But
Like,
basically,
pretty much lithium's pretty much at the forefront, isn't it?
yep, basically you just get fewer recharges with the components he's working on right now. So it would be not as long lasting. So that's why he's got to stabilize it so that it lasts as long or longer than lithium, but with like triple the power, not even just like a little bit, but like triple the power.
Wow.
So that would be a game changer for batteries. I
I
love knowing.
wonder what it would be like if we
Well, I
took
hope
like
he
a bunch
does
of
it.
nerds and
Hope
geeks
he does it.
and introduced them to the industry.
I mean, this is how it happens. Just like talking and throwing it out there, and the like-minded come together. You know, you can only see a problem and complain about it for so long before you do something about it.
Yeah.
But the other idea I'm starting to kick around is more comfortable tattoo furniture. I really want to design some more comfortable chairs. There's a couple brands that are on the market that are like, you know, the Cadillacs of tattoo furniture, but like after 2 hours, your tailbone feels like it's on fire. There's not a comfortable ergonomic bend anywhere on the piece of furniture.
That maximizes or, you know, helps promote blood flow in the right way.
See exactly what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Purple.
Yeah, I want to start making purple tattoo chairs. It's going to happen. So that's the other innovation is I want to
That's a good one, actually. I can't
play
remember who
around
was
with more
talking about
comfortable
that.
tattoo furniture.
If it's all patented, everybody, so you can't take it. It's already patented.
Well, I don't have any drawings
Don't
of that
even try.
idea. That's still just in my brain space, but
Patented ideas
But-
in the brain space.
yeah.
Are you guys excited for the equinox happening next week? I know we spoke about it a little bit earlier, but honestly, I'm super pumped.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to try and get done early enough to
There's a small
Join
chance
in.
I might not be able to join
Yeah.
in, but I'm gonna do my best. That's for sure.
Yep.
It's hard work.
Well-
Me and Fawn are both on the same schedule when it comes to tattooing.
my life revolves around my appointments.
Yeah, and we start like 3:00 and usually get done around like 10.
Yeah.
Or at least I get done around like 10 usually. Fawn's like 2, 3 in the morning a lot of times.
You could always cast to your TV as well if you'd like, you know, cast to
Mhm.
YouTube, or you could just use an HDMI and connect it right to your
Oh yeah,
monitor.
we can probably just throw YouTube up.
I mean,
So,
it's
yeah,
going to
we
be music and visuals, so it's like, you know,
Yeah, I'll definitely be able to pull that up on the TV.
Is it like a join in type thing, or is it like just a watch?
well, we're going to have 2 streams going. Like there's going to be the actual thing, like the video that Android Jones is working on and the music. And then on the other stream is like a hangout breakout room where
Yeah,
you'll,
that's where I want to hang out.
the music will still be going and stuff.
I
But,
could just probably throw the iPad up and
Yeah.
just join in if you're joining in on it. Otherwise,
Yep.
I can throw it up on the TV to watch.
I'm
little bit of
on the 16th at 11. I'm doing a worldwide like business conference call. So if you guys would want to join in, we're kind of going to test out how break rooms work
Okay.
a little bit. And yeah, I did one last March, and that's actually how I met Gabe. It's the craziest freaking thing ever. But
Oh,
that's
Nice.
kind of how we hit it off, because I had maybe like 40 people with translators from all over the world, like Iran, Russia, Australia, like most places in the world, Africa. So yeah, it's interesting to, like I was saying before in a text about the Zoom features, when you upgrade your account,
hmm
the break rooms and all that stuff become possible.
Nice.
Interesting.
I was
I've
actually
never-
just talking to, do you know who RL Sage is? He's got a lot of ties work. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
He's a collector.
No.
Well,
Sorry,
anyways,
I thought you were asking me.
he's from France, and I messaged him about joining us, and he's like, "Oh, the time difference might be a challenge," and he's like, "I my English is too broken," and I was like, "Well, you know, now you got me thinking. Maybe we should like have a deliberate international show where like we could have like purposefully like translators or
Let me see
know,
if I
like-
can pull up my last one on YouTube, because I had the translators, and it was a little bit confusing for everyone because there's a lot of listening, but it was kind of pretty convenient.
But I think something
That's
like that would be
interesting.
cool
I
down the
don't know how
road
that
to like
works.
pull collectors from all over the world, have a panel of international collectors, and we can talk about what it's like to be tattooed in different
If we can
countries
get
by different
translators,
artists.
then bam, that puts the whole world.
Yeah, because he has
The
a point.
worldwide
Like
tattoo podcast.
if we can
the
reach out
worldwide
to literally
Reinventing app.
anybody and you know be like, oh, if language barrier is a problem, like we'll accommodate you. I would love to be able to like welcome it rather than see it as a challenge. I'd love to be
Mhm.
able to like embrace, just because like I have so many friends from all over the world, and I love hearing their stories and learning from them, and their points of view are so different from mine. And you know, I feel like every point of view is valid. So I'd love to
Yeah. I'm gonna
bring
show
in
you.
people from all over the world.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Can you guys see my screen right now?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, I've got the Tattoo Ninja, I love him, some Australia, Star Tattoo Supplies, Worldwide Ink, Gabe right there, Jimmy from Lucky's. These people are from Israel, David Vega, Litos. Yeah, it was just really cool. This guy's from Africa here. But yeah, that was when the whole Zoom echo panic was real. Rob Smead was there. But yeah, it worked really well. So a lot of them came with someone, and like these people, they came with their interpreter ready to go. So they kind of were taking notes on the side as things were happening.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So they just have people they know that interpret for them?
Yeah, you see how these two, I think I think she was translating for him. So they were taking notes and kind of keeping track of that.
Mhm.
Yeah, it just got me thinking that would be great. It's cool that you've done it and it was successful.
I walked away a changed person. I'm not gonna lie. It was just when you get that much input from people you've never really talked to before, because you can't, when you have a translator speaking for someone, it's a lot more authentic than text,
Mhm.
so you get to kind of hear what they're thinking in a different way.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool being in your position on this whole reinventing app as well, because you get to be a part of all of these things, and you're almost like forced to, not that you feel forced, but I mean, it's also the feeling of, either way you got to do it. So you get to just experience all of them.
I actually hopped in. I did the Zoom for Bruno, like I said, on Tuesday. Was it Tuesday? At the same time, there was a drunk critique. So after I buzzed in, Gabe sent me the link, and I got there, and I was my jaw hit the floor, like literally hit the floor. It was Bob Tyrell and
Yeah, right.
just
Right,
Jamie
starstruck.
Mahood. It really was.
Yeah.
I mean, the network is incredible.
Yeah, it's really fun to be a little part of it.
Yeah, I love what Guy's doing with this whole app. What all of you guys are doing now.
And the nice thing is it's got the potential to open up to more than just tattooers. And I think that's kind of a special role that we play. And, we take it seriously. And that's why we're like always trying to make things better. And like our big picture goals are pretty sophisticated, elaborate ideas. But it's really just because there's a lot of data out there. There's a lot of information out there for, tattooers to learn from one another, but to find like those few podcasts that are designed like for the collector to like share their stories, to get their information. There's not a lot of that out there. So it's really special to be part of the Reinventing platform, because, it now is inclusive to everybody, not just tattooers.
Yeah.
And it's not hard for people to recognize the name, but like to know where it's at is kind of shocking to a lot of people. Like, whoa, there's an app and there's like an actual community, and there's shows happening almost every day.
Yeah. And then like whether you're a tattooer or not, like there are so many just amazing painters and amazing artists that are giving so much free knowledge. It's right there, and you can go back to it and you can view it later, and you can like look at how Nick Baxter did this landscape, and you know what I mean? You can walk right through those projects, just like, I don't know.
Absolutely.
It's incredibly valuable information that's just right there for the taking. It's really awesome. It's a really awesome thing that everybody's coming together. And
I can't believe that just for free, you can just go join in and watch a 2-3 hour Zoom call with Nick Baxter and watch. Oh, that's how we're gonna paint. That's how we're gonna paint this subject tonight.
Yeah,
I want to show you guys.
I literally used to pay hundreds of dollars for stuff like that.
Check this out. This is who I want to invite onto something. She does oil painting. This is Tommy Chong's wife, Shelby.
Okay.
Oh, no way.
If you guys ever want to, I would totally love. She actually loves oil painting, but it's
I
a community
feel like
that
we smoke enough weed. We're probably the appropriate ones.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Check out this one.
Oh, that's so cool. Are these oil pastels or oil paint?
Paint. And then let's see what else she has.
I had no idea.
Quite a few. Yeah, I was pretty surprised too. but I think she'd be pretty interesting in the platform.
That's awesome. If you
Mhm.
get her to be down, let us know. And we'll have an oil painting night.
Yeah. Man, these guys were so awesome. And their arms are bare. That's kind of surprising.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And what it would be like to like talk with them. It's kind of mind blowing.
Mhm.
Virtually
it's-
share a blunt.
It's so possible now. I mean, platforms like this and literally just what's happened with COVID, it's just super normal. And
Mhm.
to
Right.
jump on a Zoom that's broadcasted all over the place.
It is nice, the accessibility
I like
that,
that. I
that
really
everybody's
think it's-
realized we have.
It's the next step of, communication with the people, not just like podcasts, but just Zoom calls with different people so easily, just being able to jump right on.
I want to start working on telekinesis.
Isn't telekinesis where you lift stuff
All
with your
of it.
mind?
Communication. What's
Telepathic
telepathic? That's it. I want to work on telepathic.
communication.
Yes.
I've been telling my daughter, she's 4. I've been telling her since I ever could tell her that stuff is real. So she actually has no sense that stuff isn't possible.
I
Yes.
mean, if you think the universe is listening, it probably is.
There's a science to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a science to being telepathic. I don't think you can necessarily read people's minds like you can hear their waves, but I feel like you can pick up on those motherfucking waves. And
Yeah.
you can see it in body language. You can see it in all these different tells. There's so many different things that can help you pick apart someone's mind through
Mhm.
psychology. And
Yeah.
body
Even the way
language
you
and all
raise
that.
your
And I feel
eyebrows
like-
or eyes and
like that's all what comes
Eyebrows
into
are
being
a dead
telepathic.
giveaway every
know?
time.
this
Mhm.
Jordan guy. That's what you're saying, right? There's
All
a really
right.
good. Oh, before you wrap up, there's this really good book I read about, I guess, the mind and whatever. It's about Napoleon Hill, and he kind of dove into the capacity of your brain to communicate like a radio. When you're tuned in to be able to communicate with each other. That you guys should read.
I think
Nice.
I do believe in that kind of stuff. Like sometimes you might not be able to put words to it, but I think there is definitely like an energy communication that goes on,
connection that
like
lies
between
between
these
the
force
ether.
fields.
Yeah.
Between our auras. Like when you're
An
close enough
ethereal
to somebody to
connection.
feel their aura then feels you. And I think there's a lot of like, I don't even want to call it subconscious. I think it's more on the surface.
I think
than
there's
that,
even
but I think
literal
there's a lot of
physical
communication
interactions,
that
but
goes
there's
on.
definitely those spiritual
Yeah,
interactions. of
you're
energy.
definitely exchanging ions. You're sharing the same air that you're breathing back and forth.
Have you ever
there's
seen
a
like
lot of
curling in
data.
photography, or like seen just like how the heat radiates and how you change the air
Mhm.
space around you, and how there's always like this aura emanating from you that you can physically see if you see the changes in the air or the changes in the temperature just around you. And
I
then as
think-
soon as that interacts with the people, there is a change there. Plus, you have an electromagnetic field.
Yep.
And that electromagnetic field is definitely readable, and you can definitely
Mhm.
see that. And so that interacts. So
Yep.
there's already these physical things that happen, but then I do think there's like more on like the telepathic side.
I mean,
Or-
our brains are actual capable, muscles, whereas we're using metal and all these things to broadcast effectively. Why not a living, breathing organism?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. I think it's gonna be more and more possible. Elon, take me home.
Man.
Across the universe in a robot body.
Always ready for the neural link. Where's
Mhm.
my robot legs?
Like that's where you want telepathy. That's how you get telepathy.
Robot legs?
Neural link.
Oh.
That's a good start. It's a good start. You're gonna need Neuralink to use those legs the way you want to use them, and you know what you're gonna need to do that? Probably 5G.
Probably 5G. Fair.
If it's giving you COVID, you better get used to it.
All right. Well, we are approaching 3:00. I think we've had a rad show.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you so much, Lauren.
Yeah,
It's
thanks for
definitely
letting us
awesome,
pick
and-
your brain. We kind of put you on the spot and started asking you questions without even telling you we were going to do it.
Yeah,
But I feel like
okay.
you did awesome. That was awesome. That
Yeah,
was,
I appreciate some of your questions. It's nice to have like those questions for us too. Because I am pretty much an open book, but at the same time, like sometimes it's got to be pulled
I love
out.
when people ask questions.
Yeah, I
for
like it.
sure.
Maybe the
Um,
collectors are a little more hesitant, I guess,
Yeah,
terminology
yeah.
and stuff like that. You're like, well, you just said tattoo gun. What are you talking about? I doubt the collectors are on that low of a level, but just as an
I
example.
know exactly. I know what you're saying, though. I feel there's probably that slight bit of hesitation and being on the spot anyway that might make you more receptive as opposed to,
Yeah.
always just constantly. Or,
Yep.
ask some questions.
When you don't
Takes a little
live in the tattoo world, it kind of sounds like a foreign language when we start talking about anything really.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to take for granted, and it's easy to think that like everybody understands what we're saying when
I think
like
that's part of what I like about when we tattoo like Jay and Forrest and some the people a little bit more heavier collectors too. I
Mhm.
feel like they ask a lot of questions.
Mhm.
So there are some of those people that do, and they kind of cross that boundary.
Yep.
But we definitely appreciate it. If you got questions, always ask.
Yeah,
That's it.
maybe
Whatever can like stimulate our brains a little bit, because sometimes that's just all it takes is a question to just like open up.
whole new rabbit hole.
When we talk about, we're talking
Yeah.
about the subject of tattooing every, 27 episodes now, it's like, sometimes you feel like we might have talked about something a lot, so we don't always bring it up when really to some people, it might be the first time they've never heard of it or anything. So sometimes a little bit of brain picking might bring it back up where we don't normally think about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'll be hosting and doing this like pretty much every week. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for everything you're doing for us.
Yeah.
It definitely, it's nice to have another technical person to like deal with the demons with us.
God, man.
Yeah. And you're never expected to like through all that and to like have questions for us or anything like that. Don't ever feel pressured on that.
Let me show you this. Oh, my camera's not on, but otherwise I was going to show you how shitty my Sony camera stream is right now. Unbelievable. I've just been messing with it for hours and hours and hours. No avail.
Right now with what you were just showing?
No, this is the webcam, but like when I connect to I've got an Elgato HD6DS Plus. It's kind of like a game capture card.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason it's like just really compressing the image, and there's like lines down it and stuff like that. I just can't figure it out.
Do you need the capture card?
What?
You might not need the capture card if your camera is smart enough.
Okay. What do you
You
mean?
might-
Like just
You might just be able to HDMI it right into your computer. You might be overcomplicating a step
maybe that's kind of the only thing I haven't done.
because if you're running a 4K camera
that's
and your
how- I
capture
think that's
card is
how
trying
we
to compress it to
overcame I think
1080p.
we overcame an issue with that, but I'm not sure if we ended up.
I'm not saying that's
I
the
think
issue,
we
but we've
might
run
be
into
using a
stuff like
capture
that.
card right now.
Well, I've had it like I even before the stream on Tuesday, I had it like nice and crisp. I went upstairs and came back down and it was shitty again.
Hmm.
Okay. Maybe it's a capture card. I don't know.
I'm gonna try that.
Eliminate
Thank
a
you.
variable.
Yeah,
But I think we do have. I think this thing is running out to the USB from that, and the USB is
Let's
connected.
wrap
capture
up.
Card that they
Let's wrap up and we can stay on Zoom and help you troubleshoot
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
sounds
So
good to
people
me.
don't have to listen to all that.
all the
yeah.
technical stuff. Nobody wants to
Yeah.
hear that. Thank you guys for joining us. Lauren, do you have any words from any sponsors or anything before we wrap up today?
Yeah, we actually have some fantastic sponsors. One would be Jesse at Loose Screw Tattoo in the place that I was born, Richmond, Virginia. He's looking for a resident artist. He's got fantastic benefits, the whole 9 yards. Richmond is one of the most beautiful, art-driven, historical cities that I've ever been in the States. So
Can I
that's awesome.
interject just for a moment? So in the warehouse, Jordan, are you aware that we're carrying Jesse's tattoo storage system?
The method tattoo
Yeah,
system?
we're carrying the method system.
Wow.
True tubes.
What is that?
It's
I
like
have no idea what that
it's
is.
Oh my
like
gosh.
ink storage, and that's what's taking up all the extra space in the warehouse. So if you want to jump on board with Jesse's method system, we've got all of that at the True Tubes warehouse right now.
What is that? What is it?
Here, I'll pull it up.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we have that
definitely
in
wanna
our
see
building
that.
right now. I think they're working on like the shipment
What?
of like how they're gonna ship and package and distribute, but
So
we
it's
have
that
all
big
of
thing,
that.
so you can just put like
Yeah,
a-
it's
you
all
can just put-
interchangeable. See how it holds the ink bottles vertically, or not vertically, horizontally.
What we have all this going
Yeah,
on.
this is all out in the
Okay.
warehouse now. So
That's
if you want to
cool.
jazz your room up a little bit,
Yeah, I'm gonna totally.
It's
get
just
that.
really versatile too, because you have just so many options in the way that they.
I meant to interject
How
when
much,
Gabe
how much
was
is it up there?
talking
What do we got? What do
last
we got it
week.
going for? Well, we getting that 20% discount now, baby. We are.
Besides Jesse at Loose Screw, we also have the inkjet stencils. If you're familiar with Donna, she's just really passionate about why she does what she does, and I spoke to her on the phone recently, and she spoke about how much time she's saving artists, and they can go home to their families at night. And it was just a different type of motivation that you don't normally hear from sponsors. So we've got inkjet stencils. We also have raw pigments, which is me. And we're
Nice.
really happy to be a part of this because it just submerses you into this amazing community. So yeah.
It's beautiful.
Awesome sponsors. Thank you
Definitely.
guys. You make this whole platform possible for us.
Yes.
Thank you to Reinventing for having us and hosting us every week.
Number 27, guys.
Thank you for Mindy, or thank you to Mindy for joining us today. It was kind
thank
of
you,
last
Mindy.
minute, but awesome conversation. We definitely want to have you back on.
Check out our last episode if you haven't watched it.
The
It was
bio
our bio
extravaganza.
episode. We
Amazing.
we had a bunch of awesome artists on there. Check
Yep.
that out.
I think we're probably going to be able to do another bio panel soon because of a few people that like we already had a pretty full group. I didn't want to like
I'm gonna
overload it
be
with too
a
many
little bit more
people.
prepared that time. I think I'm gonna put together something really cool for that.
But
this
yeah,
next one.
I've got a few
I
other.
had a lot of ideas after feeling that.
Yep,
one out.
I've got a few other heavy hitter bio collectors that I've been corresponding with, and maybe we can get a whole handful of other bio artists and just kind of keep talking about it. I mean, it's what you and I collect the most of, so it's just naturally going to come up a lot. But
Yeah, I mean it's my favorite. So
But-
Geo and Bio, you're gonna.
Yep.
I mean,
but we'll
27
eventually
episodes
have
deep if you guys don't.
Jordan and I were
If you don't
talking about
know.
having a geometric art panel. So we're not always going to stick to bio. It just happens to be the community we're like most enthralled in. So,
Yeah. I mean,
so
we're running this.
we'll-
we're running this
we'll-
podcast, and this is what we love. So
Yep,
I mean, like,
but
I
we
mean,
intend to
gonna
incorporate
naturally come
everything.
up
So
a lot.
my
Maybe you should
handles-
make a bodysuit for your cat.
Bio bodysuit for Kitty. Oh,
Yep.
I would love to if that was ethical.
No, I mean like a those shirts that you put on that look like skin.
That's
oh
excellent.
yes. Oh yes. Oh my
Excellent
god.
idea.
And just bio them out. Bio Kitty.
Bio Kitty.
Yep.
They're on Instagram. We should stop talking. Let the stream go. I'm really excited for next week, you guys.
All right.
Awesome.
You can find me at fawn_baker on Instagram. You can find Jordan where?
Jordan Rookus Tattoo on Instagram.
Perfect. You can find us at Tattoo Collecting 101 as well.
Yep.
See all of our previous episodes.
Reinventingthetattoo.com. Download the app or go to tattoocollecting101.com.